In prison, I develop mechas to break out. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 351. You want to take advantage of me? The time was almost up, so Zhou Yang didn't wait any longer and took everyone on board the spacecraft. The interior of the spacecraft was decorated like a luxury cruise ship. There were no outsiders, only a few waiters. Take off, Zhou Yang ordered. Without a pilot, the Kunpeng ignited and flew to the moon under the escort of several Zuanians. We're in space. There is a specially designed observation deck inside the Kunpeng. On this side of the observation deck, there is a huge floor-to-ceiling window. Through the window, the universe and the stars outside can be seen at a glance. This glass is not simple glass. Ordinary glass can withstand the harsh environment of space if it is made small. But if it flies at super high speed and is made large, ordinary glass will not work. So this glass is made of modified single crystal silicon, which has an amazingly high strength. After adding a coating, it can also withstand strong radiation from space. The Kunpeng flew very slowly, so you can clearly see the scene of passing through the clouds, rising continuously, and finally seeing the space. It's so shocking. Zhang Bo took a deep breath and said, seeing it on TV is a completely different concept from experiencing it in person. Others had similar reactions. Even Zhao Tong, who was in his arms, pointed at the deep starry sky outside and kept shouting. At the same time, many similar Kunpengs were launched around the world. They were all leaders of various countries who received invitations. Pear also took his family and some senior officials of the M country to the moon on the Kunpeng. At the same observation deck, looking at the starry sky outside, the group was shocked and speechless. I never thought that one day we could go to space so easily, even to the moon. Zhou Yang said that he wanted to build a spaceship. I see that we are riding a spaceship now. It seems that if this curvature engine is running at full speed, it can reach Mars in a few hours. If so, it will take a few months to fly out of the solar system. Pear was also full of enthusiasm and said, I really hope that our citizens can also see this scene and know the greatness of our country. By the way, it will be broadcast live around the world later, right? This kind of moment that can be recorded in history must be recorded so that future generations will remember it. Everyone looked at Pear speechlessly. When did it become the greatness of country M? This is obviously the greatness of country Z. However, they were not surprised by Pear's behavior and had long been accustomed to it. However, there are still many people in country M who believe it. Many people even think that the space base built on the moon is the technology provided by country M to country Z. Now Pear's support rate is also rising steadily, almost reaching the top 5 level in history. On the moon, a semicircular sphere was buckled on the surface of the moon, with a small tail extending outward. The Kunpeng, which Zhou Yang was riding, landed precisely on one side of the small tail. A docking cabin popped out from the small tail and docked with the special cargo hold of the Kunpeng. After ensuring that the docking was completed, the hatch was opened. Let's go. Zhou Yang led everyone through the connecting cabin and entered the lunar base. Mr. Zhao, Li Xianshu was waiting on the other side of the connecting cabin. When he saw Zhou Yang and his party, he hurriedly came up to greet them. At the same time, Pear's Kunpeng also landed at the same time, and a group of people just walked out of the connecting cabin opposite. Seeing Zhou Yang, Pear's eyes lit up, and he quickly came up to him. He gave Zhou Yang a big hug without saying anything, and said excitedly, Mr. Zhao, we finally meet. Zhou Yang broke free from Pear without leaving a trace, and felt a little amused and helpless in his heart. Do you know him well, Mr. President? Zhou Yang greeted him. Pear waved his hand and said, no, please don't call me president. We are friends, best friends. You can just call me by my name. Ah, is this your daughter? She's so cute. Pear saw Zhao Tong following Zhou Yang again, and his eyes lit up. Then he remembered something and hurried back, pulling a 2-year-old blonde boy over, saying, Mr. Zhao, this is my grandson Anderson. What do you think of him? Is he very handsome? If possible, we can have a baby marriage like in your Z country tradition. Zhou Yang couldn't help but twitch his eyes. Is this old guy deliberately taking advantage of me? If you let your grandson marry Zhou Tong, wouldn't I become your son? The M country guy is really bad. Li Xianshu couldn't stand it anymore and said, everyone, there is plenty of time for small talk. The ceremony is about to start. Let's go in first. As he said that, he stepped forward and picked up Zhou Tong, saying, little Tong Tong, uncle will take you to see something fun. Zhou Yang also hurriedly followed. Ligiz, he muttered in a low voice, was that the president of M country just now? He actually wanted his grandson to be engaged to our little Tong Tong. Chen Tao snorted and said, the president of M country is nothing. We are now a confederation. For example, we are the emperor of Zhao, and they are the vassal states. Our little Tong Tong is a legitimate princess, and his grandson is at most the prince of a vassal state. To be engaged to us is to look up to them and marry down. Ligiz, he often watched TV dramas, so she understood it instantly. She glanced at Per and snorted, this foreigner is also full of bad intentions. At this time, everyone also passed through a hatch and arrived at the real lunar base. Passing through the hatch, it suddenly became clear. Above their heads, bright and soft light shone down, and the breeze was blowing in the air. As far as the eye could see, there was a green grassland, and the air seemed to be mixed with the fragrance of green grass. Oh my god, are we on the moon? Why does it feel the same as on Earth? Ligiz couldn't help but exclaimed. Chen Royan also looked around curiously, stretched out her hand to feel it, and said, honey, how come there is still wind? Zhou Yang smiled and said, not only is there wind, there is also rain, and even snow. Really? This is too incredible. How did you do it? Chen Royan exclaimed. Zhou Yang was about to speak, and Zhang Bo beside him hurriedly said, I can't say, it's all confidential. Chen Royan suddenly realized, and hurriedly shut up. Zhou Yang said with a smile, what confidential or not confidential? It's actually very simple. These are all artificially simulated. You can see that the top is very bright there, which is actually simulated sunlight. All climate changes here also follow the laws of nature and are simulated through the movement of water vapor. So if you want it to rain, it will rain, and if you want it to snow, it will snow. Per next to him came over again and exclaimed, Mr. Zhao, you are so great that you can make such a miraculous discovery. Here, wouldn't we become gods and be able to call the wind and rain? Zhou Yang thought to himself, it's you who wants to be god. Chapter 352, The Spaceship That Appeared. Zhou Yang had participated in similar groundbreaking ceremonies before, and global live broadcasts were a piece of cake. Anyway, with Zhou Yang's status, no matter where he stood, he would be the center of attention. While the groundbreaking ceremony was going on, in the monster space deep underground in Country M, the mining of the element 120 ore was still going on. The element 120 ore ball that was discovered was too big. Since the mining started 2 months ago, only the upper half has been cleared. One by one, industrial robots silently controlled the engineering machinery to mine. In the periphery, there were still many dragon souls on alert to prevent hidden dinosaurs from appearing and causing damage. At this moment, an excavator equipped with a breaker was crushing the center of the ore body. Amid the sound of thumping, the progress was not fast. The denser the huge ore ball was, the more difficult it was to crush it. The breaker hammers in front of them were specially customized. The impact head was made of austenitic superalloy, and the hydraulic system was a copy of the superhydraulic system on Xingshan, which could burst out hundreds of tons of impact force. But even so, it was extremely difficult to hit the ore. At this moment, the impact head that had penetrated the surface suddenly seemed to hit something. With a bang, the hydraulic system exploded. The industrial robot that controlled the excavator stopped immediately, and the relevant operating conditions were transmitted through wireless communication at the first time. At the same time, the industrial robot also got off the excavator and prepared to check the hydraulic system. But at this time, the industrial robot noticed that there were cracks on the thick impact head, as if the recoil force was too great, causing the impact head to crack. And the industrial robot also noticed that a faint blue light was actually transmitted from the gap under the broken hole of the impact head. Element 120 will emit a faint red light in the dark. And in this high density ore body core, a blue light actually appeared, which was really abnormal. The industrial robot immediately reported its findings. In the small base outside, in addition to the soldiers on guard patrol, there are also some engineers from the Z country mining industry who are responsible for the mining work on site. Because they work deep underground and the conditions are harsh, they often work in shifts every 2 days. The person in charge on duty today was called Kincheng. After receiving the feedback from the industrial robot, he quickly rushed to the scene with an assistant. At the scene, the industrial robot was trying to pull out the impact head, but the impact head seemed to be stuck, and the hydraulic system was damaged, and the excavator's arm could not be retracted. Strange, there is really a blue light. What's going on? Assistant Lin Mingai said in surprise. Kincheng stepped forward. At this time, he was also wearing the Dragon Soul mecha, and asked the mecha scanner to scan the bottom, but it didn't scan out anything useful. Call 2 more excavators to come and clean up the surroundings to see what is underneath. Kincheng felt a little strange. Soon, several more excavators arrived and crushed the area around the impact head. Half an hour later, the impact head was finally pulled out, and at the same time, the surface ore was also cleaned. As the last shovel of ore was dug out, a blue light shone, and a transparent sphere emitting blue light appeared in front of Kincheng. Now only a part of the sphere is exposed, but from the arc, it can be inferred that the diameter of the sphere is about 10 meters, which is not small. What is this? A companion ore? Lin Ming stepped forward, looked at the exposed blue sphere, subconsciously stretched out his hand and touched it. There was no change. It was hard to the touch, like a super hard ore. Kincheng stepped forward and took a closer look, but he couldn't see any clues. After a while, he said, it may be a companion ore. No matter what, dig it out first. The mining work continued, as if nothing had happened. But the impact happened unknowingly. Lunar base. The groundbreaking ceremony lasted for 2 hours and ended successfully. Next, the construction of related buildings will officially begin in the lunar base. This is really a piece of cake for Country Z. It will be almost done here in a month at most. After the ceremony, Li Xianshu took Zhou Yang back and said at the same time. Zhou Yang nodded and said, the sooner the better. Waiting for the rice to cook, the construction of the spacecraft. Many things are waiting for the completion of the space base for research. After the ceremony, Zhou Yang was not in a hurry to leave. There was also an observation deck on the space base, which was temporarily renovated after mastering the modified single crystal silicon technology. In fact, the Mars base has modified the design plan. A modified single crystal silicon window is built on the top of the base, covered with a thinner austenitic superalloy shell, which is equivalent to a window that can be opened at any time, so that you can also look up at the stars in the universe. The key is to save materials. The output of austenitic superalloy is really limited, and a large part of it must be allocated to produce Zhou Yang. As far as Zhou Yang knows, Country Z has almost stopped all related weapons research and development work, and is fully committed to manufacturing Zhou Yang and Dragon Soul. Now there are 500,000 Dragon Souls produced. As for Zhou Yang, although it is limited by the output of austenitic superalloy, it has also produced nearly 2,000 units. But this is only temporary. The discovery of the Oma civilization has pushed human history forward by hundreds of millions of years. Another good discovery is the greatest research achievement of the Oma civilization. Because its internal structure is similar to the vast starry sky, it is named star pattern superalloy. This star pattern superalloy is the material used to make the base on the back of the moon and their spacecraft. It is a superalloy material with a strength higher than that of austenite superalloy. The key is that this material does not require the use of the extremely rare element 120 on Earth, and can be synthesized on a large scale on Earth. According to Miglin, this is one of the greatest inventions of the Oma civilization. Unfortunately, Miglin is just a soldier, and does not know how this thing is synthesized, so Zhou Yang can only let Zhu Qin's team conduct reverse analysis, and conduct a large number of experiments. Now 3 months have passed, and it is almost successful. Once the synthesis is successful, the armor of the Zhou Yang can be completely replaced by this star pattern superalloy. At that time, the output of the Zhou Yang can definitely be increased to an astonishing level like the Dragon Soul. Coming to the observation deck, the situation outside the base is in full view. You can see a Kunpeng taking off, which seems to be the one from country M. Maybe there is something going on in the country, so Pear is the first to leave. It is daytime now, and the sun is shining directly. You can clearly see Pear's Kunpeng taking off and heading for the azure Earth. About a few minutes later, the Kunpeng should have reached the geosynchronous orbit. But at this moment, a crack suddenly appeared in the endless space, a glowing crack. The next moment, the crack seemed to be torn apart, and accompanied by a strong light, a triangular spaceship the size of the Kunpeng rushed out of the crack. Zhou Yang saw this scene completely, and his brain was like an electric shock, and his whole body couldn't help but tremble. Spaceship. Where did it come from? Chapter 353 Star Core. Everyone present had a changed expression. What is this? Li Xianshu exclaimed. Zhou Yang's expression was extremely serious. A spaceship suddenly appeared without any signs. Is this space jump technology? Although the size of this spaceship is not very large, it can master the space jump technology, so we can imagine the technological level of the civilization to which this spaceship belongs. The key is where this spaceship came from. At this moment, the Kunpeng that Pear was riding also approached the triangular spaceship. Above the Kunpeng, Pear and others were still sitting on the observation deck, looking at the universe and stars outside. What do you think about buying this Kunpeng as my Air Force One, the exclusive car for the president? Pear said excitedly. This is much cooler than Air Force One. Although the appearance is a little ugly, the key is that it can go to the sky. Everyone was speechless. The Secretary of State said, I'm afraid that won't work. Country Z probably won't sell it. Pear shook his head and said, no, Country Z is a very pragmatic country. In the past, we were a hostile country. It was normal for them not to sell us high-tech weapons. But now it's different. We are a country and friendly friends who help each other. So as long as we give enough benefits, there is no need to worry that Country Z won't sell it. Give him tens of billions of dollars, and I don't believe that Country Z won't sell it. Everyone looked at each other. Friendly friends who help each other. It's up to you to decide. At this moment, a huge spaceship appeared in space without any warning, which scared Pear and others. At such a close distance, this triangular spaceship gave people a great sense of oppression. What's going on? What is this? Is it another secret spaceship of Country Z? Has Country Z already developed a spaceship? It shouldn't be. Our scientists who participated in the plan said it will take a long time. Pear stood up and looked at the spaceship curiously. At such a close distance, all the details on this triangular spacecraft can be seen clearly, such as the various complex patterns on the smooth outer shell, forming a special decoration. It is integrated, and there are no thrusters, turrets or anything like that. The key is how such a big thing suddenly appeared. Thinking back to the moment just now, it seemed that I saw a light, and then this spacecraft appeared from the light. At this moment, a little light suddenly appeared at the top of the triangular spacecraft, as if energy was accumulating. The next moment, a beam of light suddenly appeared, flooding the vision of Pear and others. Zhou Yang and others on the lunar base clearly saw a laser beam shot out from the triangular spacecraft, which instantly pierced through the hull of the Kunpeng. There was no explosion sound, no explosion fire, but it could be vaguely seen that the entire Kunpeng had been pierced. Everyone's face changed drastically. Zhou Yang also felt a chill rushing to the top of his head. The aliens took the initiative to attack the Kunpeng, which meant that they came with hostility. Grabbing Li Xianshu, Zhou Yang hurriedly said, hurry up and send out the Zhuo and make sure to destroy this alien spaceship. Li Xianshu nodded blankly, obviously also understanding the seriousness of the matter. Only 10 seconds later, Zubin and others who were resting got up in a hurry. Quick, everyone, emergency assembly, combat mission. With an order, all 115 soldiers in the base rushed out. Fortunately, they were on a guard mission this time, so they were still wearing combat uniforms, and they had not taken them off yet, so they could start the Zhuo as soon as possible. Zubin was the fastest, and 1 minute later, he had already started the Zhuo and rushed out of the base. Behind him, one Zhuo after another followed. Guys, our target is in space. It is an unknown spaceship, most likely from aliens. In the communication channel, Zubin was also urgently mobilizing. This is our first contact with aliens. We know nothing about them and don't know what weapons they have, but at the same time, we are also strangers to them. This is our chance. Brothers, this is an alien spaceship, and what are we? We are soldiers. When we encounter danger, we should be at the forefront to defend our country. If we fail, who will protect our Earth and our families? Let me ask you one last question. Are you afraid? Zubin asked loudly. The voices of many soldiers rang out in the communication channel. Captain, what you are asking is about aliens. Why are you afraid of them? That's right, kill them. This alien probably has only one head. He will die if you chop it off. That's not certain. Maybe he has two heads. Two heads means two heads. Let's take turns. If I fall, there will be thousands of me behind. If they want to attack our Earth, they can go over our borders first. Zubin said no more and growled, let's go. As he spoke, the Zhuang was started up, and with two swords in hand, Zubin disappeared from the spot, as if he had teleported. In the distance, the triangular spacecraft continued to shoot laser beams. The Kunpeng had been shot into a sieve, and the controlled nuclear fusion was also destroyed, exploding into a huge ball of fire. Inside the spacecraft, more than a dozen figures were sitting. In the middle of them was a holographic projection, calculating the battle outside in real time. These figures were all strange, but basically they were humanoid, but the details were different. Some were tall as 2 meters and 5 meters. Some had iron gray skin, and the skin exposed outside was full of various scale-like patterns. There were also some people with fangs and orange eyes. There were also some people with structures like fish gills on their faces, and their appearance was hideous. Seeing the Kunpeng being destroyed, several people were also communicating excitedly. Why are the warships on this planet so fragile? It's okay that they don't have offensive weapons, but their defense capabilities are so weak. The alien with fangs laughed. The male species with fish gills sat in the center, wearing a close-fitting tights. His name was Forkman. He looked through the porthole at the azure Earth in the distance. Hall and his team haven't returned yet. I thought they had an accident, or hadn't found the star core. I didn't expect that after so long, we could actually detect the signal of the star core. It seems that Hall and his team have succeeded. Chief, if we can get this star core this time, we should be able to exchange it for a star-class battleship. The alien with fangs next to him said excitedly. Of course we can. A star core is extremely valuable. Many civilizations are looking for it. There are buyers. We can sell it to the Desertin Empire. Their war with the Omar Empire has reached the most important moment. They will definitely be willing to pay a high price. A star core is a special core that has a certain probability of being formed after a star dies naturally and collapses. It contains incredible energy. Based on the star core, a powerful battleship, the Titan-class battleship, can be built. Chapter 354. The attack begins. Forkman and his companions came from different civilizations. They were a group of interstellar wanderers, a group of interstellar mercenaries, and a group of interstellar thieves. They did whatever they could to make money, such as killing people, robbing low-level civilizations, and selling people of low-level civilizations as slaves. There was nothing they dared not do. During this period of time, they were wandering around, because the Desertin Empire and the Omar Empire were at war in this starfield, and there were many opportunities to make money. About 32 time cycles ago, Forkman and his companions discovered a star that was about to collapse. The so-called time cycle is a common time scale in the universe. It comes from the most basic unit of the concept of time. This concept has also been studied on Earth, and is called Planck time. To be precise, Planck time is to divide time infinitely. When it is divided to the end, all matter will no longer have any traces of movement in this time period. Then such a short period of time is called Planck time. And this time is about 10 to the negative 43rd power of seconds. As for the time cycle, it is a concept of time obtained by multiplying this basic time unit by a certain value. If converted into years on Earth, one time cycle is about 3 years. In the universe, there are many stars that have reached the limit of their lifespan and are about to collapse, but most of them follow the convention, first collapsing into white dwarfs, then expanding into red giants, and finally exploding into planetary nebulae. Only some very special stars will continue to collapse, constantly compress and condense, forming black holes around the stars, and the stars themselves will collapse into star cores. This star core will be swallowed by the black hole and teleported to an unknown area. To capture a star core, either you are lucky enough to encounter a star core that has been teleported to an unknown area, or you can make preparations early and use special means to mark the collapsed star. In this way, even if the star core is teleported by the black hole, it can be located by instruments. This star core was discovered by them a long time ago, and it was marked at the time. After the star core was teleported by the black hole, Fockman also sent his trusted subordinate Hall to search for the star core with a group of people. Unexpectedly, this trip took 32 time cycles. However, for the value of a star core, in Fockman's opinion, the long wait is worth it. At this moment, the battleship's control system suddenly detected the invasion of hostile targets, and instantly marked all the targets on the projection. Zooming in locally, you can clearly see some details of the Zhou Yang. It's a mecha. What a fast speed. This is a second generation mecha, more than 100 units, a bit troublesome. Fockman also frowned slightly. The second generation mecha is the most mainstream mecha in the universe. Of course, there are higher level third generation mechas, but they are equivalent to strategic level mechas. Except for some big empires, powerful civilizations can have them. Quickly open the defense shield. All particle beam cannons lock on the target. Open fire. Everyone attack. Intercept them. Fockman quickly ordered, but his brows frowned, with some confusion in his eyes. Since this civilized planet has developed a second generation mecha, why is the spacecraft still so fragile? Generally, civilizations that can develop second generation mechas are considered good civilizations, and can develop good planetary level battleships. Outside the triangular battleship, a layer of light blue light curtain slowly emerged, covering the entire battleship. At this time, Zubin and others were still approaching at high speed. What is this shield? Is it the kind of defense shield in the movie? No matter what it is, just attack it. If you can't beat it, then fight with all your strength. Zubin's expression was solemn. They were all unfamiliar with the aliens' methods. With the defense method of energy shield, there must be other means of attack. But at this time, Zubin could not afford to think too much. Attack. The triangular battleship was already within reach. At this moment, 36 laser beams of varying thickness shot out from the triangular spacecraft, tearing through the space. In an instant, it was too difficult to dodge at super high speed. Boom boom boom. One laser beam after another submerged the Zhou Yang. A laser beam also shot at Zubin, but when the light spot appeared on the spacecraft and gathered energy, Zubin was already prepared. He instinctively changed direction and avoided the laser beam by a hair's breadth. With his heart pounding, Zubin could not even turn his head to check on his teammates who were hit by the laser beam. He could only pray for them in his heart. This is space. Once the mecha is damaged, even if it is only a small gap, the extremely cold temperature will freeze people to death instantly. Injury means death. The triangular spaceship is already close at hand. Zubin's double swords are like a flash of lightning, brushing against the energy shield. The laser sword beams collided with the energy shield, bursting out with hot light. Particles collided, and particles splashed, but what made Zubin angry was that his attack did not tear the energy shield. Behind Zubin, a number of Zhuanians, like Zubin, held laser swords and left tear marks on the energy shield. The first wave of laser beam attacks, a full 33 Zhuanians were hit, and the death rate was 100%. The armor of the mechas that were hit was all broken to varying degrees. After the armor was broken, the drivers inside either died directly from the impact, or the mechas were torn apart, and the cold invaded, and their bodies were about to freeze. This round of attacks, the casualties were heavy. Keep going. Zubin quickly glanced at the number of Zhuanians still in the queue. He was extremely depressed. He gritted his teeth and shouted, turned at a large angle in the air, adjusted his posture, and rushed towards the battleship again. As long as it is an energy shield, it must have an energy limit. Team 1, follow me, lock the same location, and continue to attack. Zubin immediately ordered to continue to attack the same location of the energy shield. Perhaps the energy shield can be torn apart. Inside the spaceship, Fockman and others were also nervous. The battleship was connected to the main gun, and all 36 laser beam guns had been started, firing at the maximum speed, but the distance was too close, and the hit rate dropped rapidly. At the same time, under the attack of Zubin and others, the energy of the energy shield was also rapidly decreasing. The energy efficiency of the defense shield is still 72%, 70%, and it is still decreasing. Once the defense shield is broken, the Zhuang that rushed in can easily destroy their spaceship, just like they destroyed the Kunpeng. Forkman looked anxious and shouted, "Where are our people? Get them out quickly. Also, activate the gravity tractor beam and lock them for me." From the top of the battleship, 2 beams visible to the naked eye shot out in a fan-shaped pattern, one in front and one behind, and soon enveloped a Zhuang. The enveloped Zhuang seemed to be stuck in a quagmire, and its speed began to drop wildly. A laser beam swept past and directly pierced the slowed Zhuang. Chapter 355 I Won't Be a Deserter. In the lunar space base, Fuxi appeared beside Zhou Yang, and the battle situation over there was also presented in real time in front of Zhou Yang and others through data transmission and sorting. The first wave of attack by the triangular battleship killed 33 Zhuang ships, which made Zhou Yang's face change drastically. The fire control system of the other ship was obviously very strong. There was also a detection system. I don't know if it was radar or some other technology, but it could lock the high-speed moving Zhuang and then calculate the trajectory at the moment of locking and then attack. This is not a simple matter. How could this happen? Li Xianshu exclaimed. The leaders of various countries around him, as well as a group of generals, had similar expressions. No one expected that the Zhuang, which was so powerful and invincible on Earth, would be so vulnerable when facing an alien spaceship. It lost almost 1/3 of its power in one encounter. Zhou Yang didn't say anything, but pulled Li Xianshu and said, "Don't keep the Zhuang on the ground, all of them will be launched into the air. No matter what, we must kill this battleship." Li Xianshu nodded blankly. At this time, Zubin and others also launched the first wave of attacks. It cannot be said that it is completely useless, but the fact is that the defense shield of the alien spacecraft has not been broken. Zhou Yang's eyes fixed, and it was indeed an energy shield. Zhou Yang also got this energy defense shield technology from the system, which is the standard configuration of the planetary spacecraft to be built. The specific manufacturing difficulties are, first, the materialization of energy, and making the energy exist for a long time, and having enough strength to resist various attacks. Because the enemy's attack is not only an energy form of attack such as laser and particle beam, but also a physical entity attack from the front. If the defense shield can only defend against energy attacks, then the enemy can easily break the defense shield by just breaking in. Therefore, this energy defense shield must be able to switch instantly, or switch locally, or take the initiative to respond according to the feedback from the attack, and take different ways to defend. Because energy attacks use the method of offsetting to balance the energy impact, while entity attacks solidify the energy and have enough strength to defend against attacks. There may be loopholes in this. Zhou Yang's brain was spinning rapidly, and he quickly grabbed Li Xianshu and said, "Let the Zhuang dispatched below be equipped with a physical sword and a laser sword, and at the same time, all of them should be equipped with laser guns." Li Xianshu didn't understand, but he immediately passed the order down. On Earth, ordinary people were still immersed in the celebration of the completion of the space base, and many countries even organized celebrations. Especially the ambitious M country, which held a grand celebration parade in the capital. But they never dreamed that a desperate battle was taking place tens of thousands of kilometers away from the ground. And their president of M country had already gone to see God early. In the desolate northwest of Z country, there is a mysterious camp. This is the 1st Space Force of Z country, a special mecha unit codenamed the 1st Division. Of course, the Space Force is not only the 1st Division, but also the 2nd, 3rd, and many divisions. After all, the Dragon Soul has produced more than 500,000 units, which is enough to form 40 or 50 divisions. However, the 1st Division is still the most special division, because according to the plan, all 10,000 mechas of the 1st Division will be Zhuang. Although it is not fully staffed yet, the number and station have been established. Inside the camp, many special equipment have been built for soldiers to train. Not long ago, the soldiers in the camp had just finished watching the live broadcast of the completion of the space base in the auditorium and had just disbanded and were lining up to return to the dormitory. But at this moment, a sharp and piercing alarm suddenly rang throughout the camp. Emergency assembly. All the soldiers' faces changed drastically. Quick, everyone go to the hangar and prepare to board the plane. All ground crew members are dispatched to do the final emergency inspection. As the orders were issued, all the soldiers ran wildly. As a combat unit, they almost never leave their combat uniforms and can be put into battle at any time. Just when they arrived at the hangar, a large number of Zhuannians were ready. Quick, get on the plane, the officer urged loudly. At this time, many officers had received combat missions, but there was no time to notify them. It would not be too late to take off first. All the soldiers felt something. This was the atmosphere of the coming of war. One by one, they rushed to their own mechas at the fastest speed. Start the mecha and check the weapons. Everyone, equip a laser sword, a cold weapon, and a laser gun. With an order, there was another sound of changing weapons. Let's go. Amid the urgent urging, one Zhuannian after another soared into the sky. The relevant mission objectives were also issued uniformly at the moment when the Zhuannian was started, and all the Zhuannians were automatically formed into formations. Alien spaceship. All the soldiers were shocked. Although they were space forces, their imaginary enemies were all the United States that developed spaceships 50 years later. But who would have thought that they would have to fight aliens so soon? We have already lost a large number of comrades, and the enemy's strength is beyond our imagination. This is a real-time battle picture, and there is also analysis data on the combat effectiveness of alien spaceships. The division commander Han Zhou Yang was also wearing a mecha, and took off at the same time. As he headed for space, his voice also appeared in everyone's ears. Everyone immediately saw the battle picture. In space, laser beams burst out, and energy shields flashed with brilliance. One Zhuannian after another was attacking the alien warship, and hundreds of completely circular small spaceships flew out from the alien spaceship, spreading out like locusts, chasing the Zhuannian and attacking. From time to time, a Zhuannian was hit. Everyone understood that being hit meant death. In space, the wreckage of the Zhuannian could be seen everywhere. The battle was so tragic. Zubin was like lightning, and his laser sword swept across a circular spaceship like a curtain of light. With a bang, the small spaceship exploded into a ball of fire. But behind him, a small laser beam had already hit Zubin. Zubin dodged and left. Fortunately, the attack was on a small spaceship with limited firepower. The armor of the Zhuannian could resist it, but it could only resist a few times. If it was hit too much, the armor would still be pierced. Captain, you go, leave a fire for our brigade. Someone suddenly said in the communication channel. Yes, our brigade is the first all-Zhuannian brigade to be established, and the task of guarding the lunar base has also been given to us. We can die, but we can't lose our number. Captain, you go. As long as you are alive, our brigade can be rebuilt. Master, follow me. I will lead the way for you. Hizin was also there. Zubin's eyes were red. When he came, there were 115 Zhuannians, but now, in less than 10 minutes, there were only 12 people left. Bullshit. Who do you think you are? The leader? What is the order? Attack with all your strength at all costs. Is there an order for us to retreat now? Since there is no order, then I will be a deserter if I retreat. Do you want me to be a deserter? Stop talking nonsense, everyone. If you die, you will die, but before you die, you have to kill a few more aliens for me. Do you understand? Zubin roared and rushed towards a small spaceship. Chapter 356 The enemy wants to run. Inside the alien spaceship, Forkman let out a long sigh. Everyone present had the same reaction. We won. Yeah, these mechas are really hard to deal with. They are fearless and brave. I saw many mechas die together with our fighter planes. These are all brave warriors. They should be the elite troops of this civilization. Fortunately, their number is not large. If it doubles or triples, we will be in trouble. They can still deal with more than 100 Zhuannians. If there are 300 or 400 at once, they will definitely be finished. Okay, don't say any more. Forkman waved his hand to signal everyone to be quiet, and then a sharp light flashed in his eyes, saying, "After we get the star core, we will capture this planet, drain all the resources, and sell all the humans as slaves. The Desatine Empire is at war, and what it lacks most now is slaves and cannon fodder. I will make those who dare to hurt me pay the price." Forkman slapped the armrest angrily. Their losses were not small, both in personnel and fighter planes. At this time, there were only a few Zhuanians left, and they were being chased and intercepted by dozens of circular fighters. At this moment, from the direction of the Earth in the distance, a number of light spots suddenly appeared, like a meteor shower, coming towards the battleship. The man with fangs was the first to notice this, staring at the distance with wide eyes, and said blankly, "What is that?" Forkman was stunned and looked up. The control system of the battleship also immediately tracked and locked these targets. Then, a sharp red light suddenly lit up in the control room, accompanied by a piercing alarm. "A large number of enemy mechas are attacking. Please evacuate quickly," the intelligence system repeatedly reminded. Forkman had already seen the tracking display. Those light spots were actually mechas, exactly the same as the Zhuanian that appeared before. The intelligent program had marked all the targets, and the number exceeded 2,000. Forkman instantly felt like he was falling into an ice cellar. More than 100 mechas had already cost them a lot, and now 2,000 of them suddenly appeared, which was a life-threatening thing. Quick, retreat, start the thrusters, and make a space jump." Forkman shouted hurriedly. "Chief, where is the star core? Don't you want it?" Forkman jumped up and down anxiously, shouting, "It's already this time, and you still need a star core. You don't want to live, but I do. Quick, start the thrusters." The voice of the intelligent program also sounded. "Thrusters are starting. Countdown." But it takes a certain amount of time to start the thrusters, and then accelerates to make a space jump, which also takes a while. Converted to Earth time, it will take more than 20 seconds. The many fighter planes that were chasing and intercepting the remaining Zubin and his men didn't care about Zubin and his men anymore, and hurriedly evacuated to the battleship. "Boss, it's reinforcement. Our reinforcement are coming." Zubin also saw that there were spots of light on the Earth in the distance, which were the Zhuanian approaching at super high speed. "Oh no, these guys are going to run away. Damn, they killed so many of our brothers, and now they want to run away." Dreaming, a team member roared, chasing after them with red eyes. Zubin's mind moved, and he suddenly thought of one thing, that is, when these circular fighters appeared at the beginning, they passed through the energy shield directly from the inside, unimpeded. Now that I think about it, there may be some special identification method to identify the enemy. Perhaps with the help of enemy fighters, the energy shield can be penetrated, and the enemy warship can be destroyed from the inside. This thought flashed through his mind, and Zubin did not have time to think about whether this method was feasible. His body was as fast as lightning, and he chased after the last fighter that fell. The speed of Zhuanian was faster than these fighters. In 1 second Zubin had caught up with this fighter. These fighters are circular in shape, and about 1/5 of the area on the top is a transparent porthole. The pilot sits inside and observes the situation outside through this porthole. Zubin caught up with the fighter like lightning, but did not use the laser sword. Instead, he came to the top of the fighter like a shadow and punched it. With a click, under the huge force, the glass structure of the porthole was directly shattered by Zubin's punch. Grabbing the window frame with one hand, Zubin pulled the window open with a force. Inside the fighter plane, an alien with green skin looked at Zubin with a dull expression, but in just a moment, he was frozen into an ice cube. Zubin turned over and sat on the alien pilot. In this short moment, the alien pilot had been frozen into an ice cube, and Zubin sat down and directly sat on it. Inside the spacecraft, there was a small control console with a bunch of buttons. Although there were labels, they were all incomprehensible. However, Zubin could understand one thing, that is, a thing that looked like a joystick. Grab the joystick and push it forward, and the speed will increase instantly. It's simple, just like playing a game. After doing all this, the fighter plane also caught up with the battleship and approached the energy shield. Zubin didn't care, pushed the joystick to the fastest, and hit the energy shield head on. There was no obstacle, and the energy shield was like a layer of air. In Looking at the alien battleship in front of him, Zubin was ecstatic. Sure enough, no matter how strong the fortress is, it can be conquered from the inside. At this time, the alien warship has slowly started to accelerate. Zubin rushed out, and the fighter plane under him was gently pushed by him and shot out of the light curtain like a sharp arrow. Zubin felt that this thing should be very valuable for a search. The others were destroyed, but this one was still intact. At this time, Zubin's mind was still very calm and clear. The enemy may have seen a large number of reinforcement coming, so they wanted to run away. If he came in alone, even if he could destroy the warship, the damage to the warship in a short time would be limited. The best way is to find a way to delay the enemy, wait for the reinforcement to arrive, and then slowly destroy the alien warship. Destroy the thruster. Zubin immediately had an idea. With a glance, the intelligent program was also quickly analyzing the entire warship. This alien warship is triangular. According to convention, the thruster must be at the tail, but the hull is integrated, and there is no obvious bulge or anything. Zubin, according to my analysis, there is a high probability that this position may be the thruster. The voice of the intelligent program sounded. Zubin had already rushed out and shouted, "I don't care about that anymore, let's destroy it first." The target was a triangular ring logo at the rear of the warship. It was not small in area, but simple in structure, and clearly different from other parts of the warship. Holding the laser sword in both hands, Zubin rushed up like lightning, crossed his hands, and slashed with all his strength. With a puff, the laser sword slashed the warship, splashing sparks. Right hand, full power. Zubin roared. The laser sword in his hand had an attack method that could burst out several times the normal power in an instant, which was more powerful, but the consequence was that the laser sword was directly scrapped. But at this time, he had to do his best. Chapter 357. You have made great contributions. In an instant, the laser sword in Zubin's hand burst into an extremely hot light. Energy seemed to be endlessly poured into the laser sword, and the magnetic field that constrained the laser also collapsed instantly, but the energy that burst out spread to the target according to inertia. At the same time, at the end of the laser beam, the laser began to sputter, as if it was spreading, causing greater damage to the armor of the battleship. Boom. A huge wound was torn out of the tail of the battleship, and a large amount of gas inside escaped outward. Come again. Zubin roared, and his left-hand sword also slashed at another ring area, also bursting at full power. Boom. This ring was also torn and damaged. In the battleship control room, the thrusters have been started, and everyone is very nervous. However, it seems that the space jump should be successfully started, because even if these mechas arrive, it will take a certain amount of time to break through the energy shield of the battleship. But at this moment, the intelligent program suddenly prompted, thrusters number 1 and number 2 are damaged, emergency shutdown, repair, and cannot self-repair. What? Fockman exclaimed and jumped up directly from his seat. The intelligent program continued to prompt, according to the calculation, the remaining number 3 thruster cannot meet the speed requirements of the space jump. The space jump failed, and the space jump instrument was terminated. Faulkman's face turned pale and he screamed, "How could this happen? What's going on?" The intelligent program has instantly simulated the situation at the rear of the battleship. It's a mecha. Everyone was stunned. How did this mecha get in? Faulkman screamed. The intelligent program said, according to my speculation, he may have attacked a fighter and entered the energy defense shield on the fighter. Everyone was stunned. How did the other party think of this method? It seems that the other party has rich combat experience. Someone sighed. Under normal circumstances, if the other party is afraid of using this method to sneak attack the battleship, the fighters sent out will not return easily. They will wait until the battle is over before returning. But the situation just now was too urgent, and they couldn't take care of it. This allowed Zubin to take advantage of the opportunity. Faulkman was so angry that he yelled, "It's already this time, don't praise the other side for their rich combat experience. If we can't jump through space, we are all doomed. Now there is only one thruster left. Even if it is fully activated, the speed is definitely not as fast as the mecha. Although the energy shield is powerful, it is not invincible. There is no escape. The other side has a whole army of mechas, and sooner or later they will be worn out by the other side. Ask for help. Someone said. Forkman wanted to slap him and cursed. How can we ask for help? Our communicator can only transmit 10 light years. How can we be so lucky that there is a passing spaceship? Moreover, we are the Black Flag mercenary group. We don't have a good reputation. We are wanted by several empires. If we are discovered by the enemy, they may come and kill us. Forkman and his group said they were mercenaries, but in fact they were interstellar pirates. They did evil, and were wanted by many empires. What should we do? We can't surrender. Everyone looked at each other. At this time, what else could they do? As he spoke, the 2,000 Zuanians below had already reached the target. The division commander Han Yang took a deep breath, and said in the communication channel, the 1st Regiment, use laser guns, concentrate firepower outside, and attack the same location of the energy shield. The 2nd Regiment, follow me to attack, use cold weapons. With an order, everyone began to attack. Thousands of Zuanians slightly bent, stopped in space, took out laser guns, and under the guidance of the intelligent program, fired at the same target point. In an instant, thousands of laser guns bombarded the energy shield almost in order. In an instant, the energy shield trembled violently. The defense efficiency of the energy shield has dropped by 16%, and there are still 42% left. The reminder of the intelligent program made Forkman and others feel like they had lost their parents. Almost at the same time, the 2nd Regiment also launched an attack. Holding a cold weapon sword, it slashed at the energy shield like lightning. Originally, the energy shield was as hard as a rock, but at this moment, facing the cold weapon, for some reason, it was like a layer of flexible cowhide, and it actually had a visible dent. And the energy shield was torn apart in the next moment. Success. Han Yang's eyes lit up, and a gap appeared in the torn energy shield, and this gap was closing quickly. But a moment was enough. Han Yang flashed and drilled through the gap. At the same time, there were 700 or 800 soldiers coming in. Switch to laser swords. Attack. Han Yang roared, holding the laser sword, and slashed it hard on the outer shell of the warship. Although the armor of the warship was hard, the 700 or 800 people attacked at the same time in an instant, and the accumulation of small amounts led to qualitative changes, which still caused considerable damage to the armor of the warship. The warship trembled violently. In the control room, Forkman and others widened their eyes. The attack at this moment was all simulated by the intelligent program. What? They actually used cold weapons? Forkman screamed. Their warship was not a top-level warship, so the energy shield equipped on their warship was not a top-level product. This kind of low-level product has a common defect, that is, there will be a delay when defending against physical attacks and energy attacks. Unlike those high-end ones, it is almost seamless, and you can easily defend against any kind of attack. Oh no, they are coming in. There are so many people. The energy shield is also falling rapidly, and it will be broken soon. As he said that, with a bang, the warship shook violently, and everyone was unstable. The energy shield was broken. This thing needs to be pre-charged. Once it is broken, it takes at least several hours of pre-charging time to prop it up again. So basically, if the energy shield is broken, the spacecraft is equivalent to losing its defense ability. Quick, surrender, we surrender. Forkman screamed. Moonbase. Seeing Zubin rushing into the energy shield by some unknown method and holding back the escaping alien warship, Zhou Yang couldn't help but waved his fist excitedly. This Zubin has made great contributions. I must reward him well later, Zhou Yang said to Li Xianchu. Li Xianchu's face was pale and frightened. He nodded vigorously. He also understood that, if Zubin hadn't accidentally killed into the energy shield, the alien warship would probably have escaped. So is it a sure win now? It should be. We have so many Zuanians. As long as we keep attacking, we will be able to break through the opponent's energy shield sooner or later. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. However, Zhou Yang still had a serious expression. He should be able to deal with the alien warship in front of him. But the problem is that the other side only has one warship, which has made the Earth so embarrassed. If there are 10 or 100 warships, wouldn't the Earth be destroyed in an instant? Zhou Yang couldn't help but lower his head and look at Chen Royan, who was holding Zhao Tong not far away. A strong sense of crisis made him feel like a thorn in his back. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 358 Text Communication. In the distance, the attack was still going on. The alien warship with a broken energy shield was like a lamb to be slaughtered. 2,000 mechas rushed back and forth, attacking in various ways. The entire warship had become scarred. At this moment, a ray of light suddenly projected from the top of the warship, and a huge figure appeared in the light. It was Fokman. Fokman was terrified and waved his hands and shook his head frantically. He was going to surrender. Fokman was a group of pirates. They put profit and life first. They were not like the soldiers of major civilizations. They fought for civilization. If they lost, their civilization would be destroyed, so they would fight to the death. But Fokman found that the attack was still going on. Fokman immediately understood. These guys couldn't understand what he meant. However, Zhou Yang, who was at the lunar base far away, also saw Fokman's actions, and his heart moved. Was he going to surrender? The energy shield was broken, and the alien warship seemed unable to escape. Zhou Yang's mind raced, and he said quickly, "Give the order to stop the attack, and it would be best if we could capture this battleship. Destroying this battleship would not bring any benefit, but if we captured the other party, we could get more intelligence information from them." Zhou Yang was also envious of some of the technologies on this battleship. Soon, Hans and Yang received the order to stop the attack. Stop the attack, be alert. At the command, all the mechas stopped the attack, but did not disperse. They surrounded the entire battleship and stood densely in the air. Fokman breathed a sigh of relief, almost collapsed on the ground, and quickly disappeared. Let's go. In the lunar base, Zhou Yang hurriedly ran down. Li Xianshu hurriedly stopped Zhou Yang and said, "Mr. Zhao, it's too dangerous. If you have any instructions, you'd better convey them here." As he said that, he secretly winked at Chen Royan. Chen Royan understood and hurried over to say, "Husband, you'd better not go." Zhou Yang hesitated for a moment, stopped, and said, "Fuxi, project my projection over there." Okay. In the distance, Hans and Yang also received the instruction and immediately stepped forward. Two rays of light were projected from the position of the Mecha's eyes, interweaving together to form Zhou Yang's image. Inside the battleship, Fokman also immediately saw Zhou Yang's projection and immediately realized that the person in front of him was the leader of the other side. With a long sigh, Fokman also hurriedly turned on the projection. Outside the battleship, Fokman's projection appeared, first raising his arm and crossing his chest, then kneeling on one knee and lowering his head. This is the surrender ceremony of Fokman's planet. Zhou Yang also immediately understood that the other party might have really surrendered. Then the next step is to communicate. How to communicate is a big problem. Zhou Yang's mind raced, and he suddenly thought of a way, saying, "Fuxi, use the language of the Oma civilization to communicate with them, and tell them that, if they don't want to land on Earth, we will destroy them without hesitation." Oma civilization? Sir, are you sure? Fuxi was stunned. Li Xianshu and others looked at each other. "Mr. Zhao, do you think they are from the Oma civilization?" Li Xianshu asked hurriedly. "It shouldn't be, isn't this Oma civilization a prehistoric civilization from our Earth? Why would they attack us?" Of course, everyone knew about the Oma civilization. Zhou Yang shook his head and said, "No, I don't know where they came from, but if we use our characters, they certainly can't understand, because our civilization is still limited to the planets. But the Oma civilization is different. According to the information we have obtained, the Oma civilization left the solar system and went to Lucastar as early as 65 million years ago. If they successfully arrived at Lucastar, then after 65 million years, they may have grown and become a civilization in the universe with external communication, so their characters may be recorded by aliens, so that they can communicate with each other. Of course, this is just my speculation. After all, the Oma civilization may have been destroyed, or it may still be like us, without external communication. Everyone looked at each other, and Li Xianshu said, Mr. Zhao, we don't understand things about science and technology, you can decide. Fuxi didn't say any more. Through months of communication with Milin, the characters of the Oma civilization have been sorted out. Next to the battleship in the distance, a line of characters appeared in front of Zhou Yang, the characters of the Oma civilization. Fokman on the opposite side was slightly stunned, and hurriedly said, quick, search in the database to see what this text is. Before the intelligent program searched out the results, the man with fangs wondered, why is their text so similar to that of the Oma Empire? As soon as he finished speaking, the voice of the intelligent program rang out. According to the comparison, the similarity with the text of the Oma Empire is 86%. Fokman was shocked and said, could this be the territory of the Oma Empire? No, this place is very far away from the Oma Empire. It doesn't seem to be far, only about 50 light years. If you jump in space, 2 or 3 times will be enough. But this place doesn't seem to be the sphere of influence of the Oma Empire. Don't worry about it. Black Flag. What did they say? The intelligent program is called Black Flag, and it said, based on the text of the Oma Empire, they mean for us to land on the planet below. If you disagree, they will destroy us. Fokman sighed and said quickly, respond to them in the language of the Oma Empire, saying that we will land immediately according to their instructions, and we are willing to surrender, and ask them not to attack us. Outside the battleship, a line of text immediately appeared beside Fokman. At the lunar base, Zhou Yang's eyes lit up. He didn't expect that his attempt would succeed. Li Xianshu and others were also very excited. They actually know the language of the Oma civilization. Doesn't this mean that the Oma civilization is still very famous, and the language is known by aliens? The Oma civilization is an Earth civilization, and everyone also has a sense of honor. Then what are they saying? Li Xianshu asked. Zhou Yang smiled and said, they said they agreed to land and surrender to us at the same time and ask us not to attack them again. Zhou Yang also took the time to learn the language of the Oma civilization, and he could read and write it a long time ago. In the distance, the battleship slowly started and landed on the Earth under the watchful eyes of 2000 Zuanilans. By the way, where should they land? Li Xianshu suddenly thought of a question and asked quickly. Zhou Yang had already considered this issue and said, let's find a deserted island near the coast of country Z and let them land on it, so as to avoid contact with the outside world. Everyone present nodded. This is a good idea. We will have a few warships patrol outside the island and attack them immediately if they make any unusual movements. Fuxi also immediately locked onto an island, sent the coordinates to Hans and Yang, and asked the warship to land on the designated island under the guidance of Hans and Yang. Chapter 359 Evacuation Plan. On the high seas far from the coastline of country Z, the sea surface was calm, but 2 fishing boats were confronting each other. One was a fishing boat from country Z, and the other was a fishing boat from country RB. The cause was that the fishing boat from country Z was tracking a school of fish and had entered the territorial waters of country RB and happened to collide with a RB fishing boat that was also fishing in the same area. The RB fishing boat said that this was their country's territorial waters and the fishing boat from country Z could not come here to fish. The response from the fishing boat from country Z was simple and rude. The captain, Mardifa, held a harpoon, glared and yelled, bullshit, there is only country Z in the world now, so what is your territorial waters? All the seas in the world are our seas of country Z, and we can go fishing wherever we want. The RB fishing boats were furious, and some of them were dissatisfied, and were ready to fight with sticks. Aha, fighting, right? I like it. Damn, I've been out for more than a month, and my hands are itching for a long time. Hurry up, bring the boat over to me. Everyone follow me, I'll give you a bonus if you win. Mardifa's eyes were shining with excitement. Then the fishermen on the RB fishing boat were shocked to find that the Z country fishing boat had forced its way over and took over the boat. Then, the Z country fishermen on the opposite side waved their weapons and rushed over. The RB fishermen were directly scared silly. They had agreed to say a few harsh words to show their intention, but you actually did it for real. It was too late to organize a counterattack. Mardifa rushed in front, raised his leg, and kicked the captain of the opposite side to the ground, and screamed excitedly. In less than 5 minutes, the battle was over. "Tell me, whose territorial waters are this?" Mardifa asked arrogantly. "Yours, it's yours." The captain of the opposite side covered his chest and said weakly. Mardifa was satisfied and jumped back to his fishing boat with his crew. Just as he was about to leave, a long whistle suddenly sounded in the distance. Oh no, it's a warship. Oh my god, it really is. A huge warship slowly appeared in the mist on the sea in the distance. Compared with this warship, the fishing boat looked like a small sampan. The whistle of the warship is obviously different and easy to distinguish. "Brother Ma, we are in trouble. The RB warship is coming. This is in RB territorial waters, and it is obviously a RB warship." Many crew members of the RB fishing boat on the opposite side also climbed up excitedly and waved their arms at the warship. Mardifa's face was dark, and he gritted his teeth and said, "What are you afraid of? They have warships, but they talk as if we don't have them. We also have mechas." "That's right, I don't believe they can do anything to us." Everyone stiffened their necks, their faces full of dissatisfaction. "You are finished. I will send you to the police station." The captain on the opposite side no longer felt pain in his chest, and he jumped and shouted, "Little dwarf, I don't understand your language." Mardifa cursed, but he could guess what this guy was yelling, and he was very depressed. But at this moment, the whistle of the warship in the distance sounded again, and then someone shouted. The person who spoke even spoke with a DB accent, and shouted in Japanese, "Fellow countrymen, hurry home. This place has been designated as a military restricted area, and if you don't leave, we will have to drive you away." Mardifa blinked his eyes. What was going on with this full of DB accent? "Fuck, it's our warship." At this time, a crew member shouted excitedly. The warship got closer, and everyone saw clearly that the flag flying on the warship was indeed the flag of Country Z. "Oh my god, this is awesome. Our warships are all here. I told you that all the seas in the world are our territorial waters." "Brother Ma, do you know what they shouted just now? They said this place has been designated as a military restricted area. This is awesome. They actually came to other countries' territorial waters to designate our military restricted area. This is awesome." "Really?" Mardifa's eyes widened. He had also read the news and knew that Country Z had been very arrogant recently, but he didn't expect it to be so arrogant. They came to other countries' territorial waters to designate a military restricted area. This is completely ignoring the other party. The RB fishing boats on the opposite side were also dumbfounded when they saw the flags on the warships, and they fell back one by one. Mardifa turned around and looked at the captain on the opposite side. He glared and cursed, "You bastard, you were so lively just now. You don't feel any pain again, right?" After that, he rushed over again. At the same time, under the escort of 2,000 Zhou ships, the alien warships slowly descended from the sky. Inside the warship, Forkman looked at the densely packed Zhou outside and was deeply moved, not daring to make any small movements. In the end, the warship landed on an island. 2,000 Zhou did not evacuate and surrounded the island. At this time, the aircraft carrier formation of Country Z was also coming quickly. At the same time, Country Z had informed the Ministry of National Defense of Country M and asked them to send out the nearest Pacific fleet for alert. At this time, Zhou Yang and his party also urgently boarded the Kunpeng and left the lunar base. "Royan, you and your mother go back first. Whatever should happen, don't worry, I'm here. The sky has not fallen, understand?" Zhou Yang hugged Zhao Tong and exulted. Chen Royan nodded vigorously. Although she could beat 10 Zhou Yangs in a fight, Zhou Yang still had the final say at home. "Then I'll wait for you to come back." Chen Royan didn't say much. At the critical moment, she would never drag Zhou Yang's feet. She took her family and quickly boarded another Kunpeng with the families of other leaders. Zhou Yang, together with the leaders of various countries, boarded the same Kunpeng. Let the Military Research Institute prepare a high-power electromagnetic shield, and then let Zhou take it and deploy it near the island as quickly as possible. Zhou Yang was anxious, but he did not show it, and he looked for loopholes one by one. Although he did not know what kind of communication method the aliens used, if the main source magnetic gravitational field communication technology was used, the magnetic field shielding could not be said to be completely ineffective, but it would definitely not be very effective. In short, this kind of shielding method must be used, which is better than nothing. What we are afraid of is that the other party will use a delaying tactic to wait for reinforcement to arrive. After the Kunpeng took off, Li Xianshu came to Zhou Yang and said, the meaning of the above is to plan to issue an emergency martial law order, and at the same time, let the armies of all countries in the world enter a first level alert state, and be ready to fight at any time. This time, it was not like the discovery of a broken spaceship from 90 years ago by the M country, or the discovery of a base left by the Oma civilization on the back of the moon. It was a real alien, and the other party drove a warship over, and fought a battle with the Mecha. Now there is only one ship, and if there is more, the Earth may not be able to withstand it. Therefore, the threat from deep space is imminent, and the necessary preparations should be made. Of course. Zhou Yang nodded solemnly and said, since martial law has been declared, let's be tougher, and mobilize all the resources in the world. If we are not fully prepared for this defensive war, it will be a disaster for our entire human civilization. After a pause, Zhou Yang whispered, at the same time, we should prepare an evacuation plan, just in case, to preserve the spark of our civilization. Is an evacuation plan necessary? Li Xianshu was shocked. Chapter 360, it's over. What is an evacuation plan? It means that, when civilization is about to be destroyed, it is forced to abandon the mother planet, evacuate actively, abandon the family and the business, and keep the civilization alive, hoping that one day it will rise again. But what Li Xianshu couldn't understand was that he had just encountered an alien warship, so he had to consider evacuating. Zhou Yang sighed and said, I'm not a politician. I don't talk about adventure and speculation. I'm a scientist. Everything depends on the data. According to the data, there are so many planets in the universe, and there must be intelligent civilizations. According to the probability, the appearance of an alien warship means that we are already under the enemy's attention. Soon, more alien warships will appear. It's just a matter of time. Wars have winners and losers. If you want to win, you must be more fully prepared, unify global resources, and mobilize all personnel to prepare for war. This is preparation. Preparing an evacuation plan is also preparation. Li Xianshu sighed and said, I understand. I will start preparing. Zhou Yang nodded. Although he didn't want to do this, the fear of unknown enemies made him feel that it was necessary to do so. At least, for his family, it was necessary. By the way, prepare a temporary prison and detain all aliens separately. I will organize people here to conduct the fastest research on alien spacecraft. Zhou Yang thought of something and proposed. Li Xianshu could only nod his head. In terms of science and technology, Zhou Yang must be the boss. At the same time, we have to figure out how they found us. Zhou Yang frowned, thinking back to the situation at that time. This alien warship appeared in space almost without any sign. The first thing that can be confirmed is that the other party must have mastered the technology of space jump, or there is a similar space jump device on the warship. This is very important and must be obtained at all costs. Then the more critical point is whether the other party passed by chance, such as a random space jump, and happened to appear above the Earth, or lock the Earth in advance and then jump directly from space. Although Zhou Yang was reluctant to admit it, he was more inclined to the second one. Because the principle of space jump is there, it is not that you can just jump casually. The technical principle of space jump is very simple. For example, if you want to go from point A to point B on a piece of paper, the shortest way must be to draw a line segment from point A to point B. However, this is the fastest way in 2 dimensions. In the 3-dimensional world, the fastest way is to fold the paper so that point A and point B overlap. In this way, you can reach point B from point A at the shortest distance. This involves the technology of space folding, which is the theoretical basis of space jump. Even if there are countless light years between us, we can reach it directly. If we want to implement the jump process, the key point is that if I'm at point A, I must know where point B is, so that I can fold the corresponding space purposefully and complete the space jump. Therefore, I must know the coordinates of point B in space in advance and complete the detection before I can jump directly. If I don't know the existence of point B, where should I jump? Therefore, from this perspective, Zhou Yang can almost be sure that this alien warship must have detected the Earth or the coordinates related to the Earth in advance before jumping directly through space. And this is also what Zhou Yang is most worried about. In the past, there were so many universes, and scientists have always concluded that there must be intelligent civilizations in the deep space of the universe, but why haven't we encountered aliens for so many years? A very likely reason is that the Earth has not been detected by alien civilizations, because the universe is too big. If you only fly at the speed of light, it is too far away. If you want to jump through space, you can't jump over without detecting the Earth. Kunpeng made an emergency landing, and on Earth, there was still a celebration. Although the whole battle was tragic, it did not last long, not even an hour. In other words, it was only an hour away from the end of the groundbreaking ceremony of the lunar base that attracted global attention. At this time, many news reports from the media of various countries have not been completed. But at this time, after the governments of various countries met, they had affirmed the proposal of country Z, and the world entered a military curfew. At the same time, all resources were uniformly allocated to form the Confederation Emergency Committee, which was participated by the leaders of the powerful countries in various regions. At the same time, Zhou Yang also joined this emergency committee because the government still needed someone who understood science to help them deal with various matters, and this person, except Zhou Yang, no one was qualified to take on the role. This emergency committee is not just a name, but has real power, like a governor or a local official. At critical moments, it can control both military and political affairs. Of course, Zhou Yang is a little more special. In many emergency situations, there is no time to report to the committee, and all resources and forces that can be mobilized urgently. In the United States, a grand celebration parade is still going on. Especially in front of the White House, a carnival was held here, and many people gathered here. Outside, there were reporters, many people holding slogans, celebrating the return of the United States to the moon, building a base on the moon, and so on, shouting and dancing excitedly. The initiator of the event also prepared a large electronic screen on the scene to broadcast the previous groundbreaking ceremony. On the stage now built, some performing stars were invited to hold a concert, and the atmosphere on the scene was so warm. At this moment, a helicopter roared over the heads of the crowd and landed in the White House. This scene was noticed by many people, and the next moment, a large number of soldiers suddenly ran out from inside the White House, and faintly, a large number of special agents in black suits could be seen running. An indescribable atmosphere spread, and many people keenly felt that something seemed to have happened. And it was a big one. Many reporters also gathered around like cats smelling blood, wanting to find out the answer. But they knew nothing. After half an hour, some special agents suddenly ran out and ran straight to the electronic screen not far away, and then negotiated with the person in charge. Soon, the big screen suddenly went out, and a star who was singing on the stage was also hurried off the stage. Damn it, the singing was going well, why did it suddenly end? Who can tell me what's going on? On such a day, that should be celebrated, why do you stop us? In the distance, a shrill siren suddenly sounded, and countless police cars appeared on the central avenue and drove towards this side. Many people were stunned. At this moment, the electronic screen in front of them flashed, and a person suddenly appeared. The background was the presidential office. Hello, citizens. I'm the new president scene. I regret to inform you that our former president, Mr. Pear, has unfortunately passed away. Just this one sentence shocked everyone at the scene. What on earth had happened? More than an hour ago, Pear was still on the TV broadcast. How come he was dead the moment he turned around? What on earth had happened? Chapter 361 Level 1 Alert. Scene. The former vice president. Now that Pear has passed away, he also urgently swore in and became the new president of the United States. At this time, it was the first speech to the whole country. At this moment, all the TV broadcast signals in the country were cut off and replaced by Scene's conversation. Scene's expression was solemn, and he said in a deep voice, "President Pear died very heroically. He is a warrior of our country. Please let us observe a minute of silence for him." As he said that, he lowered his head. At the parade outside, everyone was still stunned. Especially those reporters. Their brains were like electric shocks at this time, and they understood that the helicopter that came hurriedly before should be to pick up Scene. The key is what happened. Pear died suddenly. Could it be that something went wrong at the lunar base, so Pear died? But it shouldn't be. There is no news. While everyone was puzzled, many police cars also drove up, and a large number of police began to get off. In the far distance, rumbling, a large number of military Hummers appeared. The National Guard also arrived. Many reporters' brains were blank, and there was only one thought in their minds. Could it be that a war broke out? At this time, a minute passed, and on the screen, Scene drew a cross on his chest, and then said with a serious expression, "My dear citizens, we have encountered a brand new enemy. I wish I could tell you more details, but for some reasons, I'm sorry that I can't tell you more details. Here, I will issue my #1 executive order as president. I declare that the whole country of M has entered a level 1 alert state, and all cities in the country will be under military control. All citizens are requested not to panic, return home, pay attention to news notifications at any time, and comply with the instructions and arrangements of the local government." Boom. The scene exploded directly. Everyone's mind was blank. Level 1 alert state. This is really the rhythm of a war. Could it be Country Z? I knew that Country Z would not let us off easily. This groundbreaking ceremony is their conspiracy to murder our president. But the problem is that Country Z is so powerful and has mechas. If we go to war with them, we will be dead. Yes, now that the nuclear bombs have been destroyed, we don't even have the power to resist. What can we do with nuclear bombs? Even with nuclear bombs, we are no match for mechas. There was a wailing at the scene. They were celebrating just now, and now the president is dead again, and the whole country is on level 1 alert. People with weak hearts can be scared to have a heart attack. At this moment, Scene and the camera seemed to hear something, and said to the camera to wait, then stood up, and disappeared in the camera. 5 minutes later, Scene sat down again with a document in his hand. After a light cough, Scene's expression remained serious. He said, "Next, I will issue Executive Order number 2. Following the order of the head of the Confederation, Country Z, all member states of the Confederation around the world will declare a state of alert at level 1. Under the state of alert at level 1, the military forces of all member states will be mobilized by the Emergency Committee. At the same time, all personnel, economy, and resources within the member states will be nationalized and mobilized by the Emergency Committee." After saying this, everyone at the scene was already stunned, and everyone felt a little numb. Aren't we going to war with Country Z? This is obviously not the case. We are still receiving the executive order of Country Z. The world has entered a state of alert at level 1. All military forces will be mobilized by the Emergency Committee, and all personnel, economy, and resources will be nationalized and deployed in a unified manner. What is going on? What is Country Z doing? The president said before that we have encountered a brand new enemy. What kind of enemy is it? Everyone's brains were blank, and they completely lost the ability to think. On the screen, Scene had already stood up and left. The signal was cut off, and the police at the scene also began to act, cooperating with the National Guard, to urge the demonstrators at the scene to evacuate in an orderly manner. This scene also happened all over the world. Almost all countries issued a level 1 alert order at the same time. A large number of troops were put on combat readiness. A large number of police also received orders to go to the streets to control social order. Everyone was talking wildly, not knowing what had happened. At home, Zhou Yang woke up and contacted his good friend Zhang Yang. "Brother, get up, play the game, and defeat Serity today, and get the first kill." On the other end of the video call, Zhang Yang looked nervous and yelled, "Brother, can I call you my dear brother? It's so late, and you're still thinking about playing games online. It's the end of the world, you know? The end of the world." Chen Qiuang blinked and looked out the window. It was a sunny day with no alien spaceship on his head. It was the end of the world. Damn it, if you don't want to fight, just say so. It's the end of the world. What are you doing? In the video, Zhang Qiang was getting dressed. Zhang Qiang pulled up his pants and said, "Brother, can you please check the news? It's really the end of the world. The world is on level 1 alert. All resources are nationalized. This is a big deal. Moreover, the aliens are here and have already started fighting with us. Even the president of country M was killed by aliens. You are still thinking about the game. Go out and buy supplies quickly. If you don't buy them now, you probably won't be able to buy them. I'm going to go out now to buy salt, rice and oil." Chen Qiuang opened his mouth wide. What's going on? Aliens are here. Even the president of country M was killed by aliens? Sure enough, aliens always like to attack country M. Before he could ask in detail, Zhang Yang on the other side had hurriedly hung up the video. Chen Qiuang also felt something was wrong and hurriedly said, "Xiaomi, is something big happening?" Xiaomi is a smart program in Chen Qiuang's home. A video suddenly appeared on the wash mirror in front of him. In the video, rays of light bombarded a triangular battleship, artillery fire soared into the sky, lasers whizzed, and there were also small round spaceships chasing mechas to kill. The whole video looked like a science fiction movie. "Master, this is the latest video released on the internet. It happened 2 hours ago. The world has also declared a state of emergency and all resources are deployed in a unified manner. Master, aliens are coming. The President of the United States has also been confirmed to have died under the attack of aliens. Master, I suggest you go to the supermarket downstairs to buy some rice. We don't have much rice at home." Chen Qiuang opened his mouth wide, and the next moment, he screamed and rushed out of the room. The supermarket downstairs was already in chaos, and many people were squeezing in. The boss kept shouting on the loudspeaker, "Damn, you have to pay. Sell it at 3 times the marked price. My price is already very cheap, and it's not that I want to raise the price. It's a message from the distributor that all things will be tripled in price. If you want to buy it quickly, otherwise you won't be able to buy it later. Triple price increase." Even so, many people still squeezed in frantically. Some people held a bag of rice, threw down 2 banknotes, and rushed out without looking back. Seeing this scene, Chen Qiuang was completely dumbfounded. Chapter 362 Stability. After hesitating for a moment, Chen Qiuang immediately rolled up his sleeves and rushed into the supermarket. But there were too many people, just like squeezing into the subway during rush hour. Before he could even stand firmly, he was squeezed out. At this moment, accompanied by a sharp whistle, a patrol car hurriedly drove over from a distance, and then, several urban management officers ran up under the leadership of community staff. No more snatching. The community staff was a middle-aged woman, who picked up a loudspeaker and shouted with full energy. Everyone present was shocked and turned to look at the middle-aged woman. The middle-aged woman put her hands on her waist and shouted, "What are you doing? Is the sky falling? No, even if it really falls, there is still someone tall to support it. Why are you panicking?" Her shout really stunned everyone present. However, a middle-aged woman in the crowd shouted, "Sister Zhou, you are saying this lightly. My son told me that aliens are coming and asked us to stock up on food. If it's too late, we won't be able to buy it. I don't know anything about aliens, but if I can't eat, I'll go to your house to eat. That's right, the world is about to end. I need to eat." In the crowd, several people talked at once, and the crowd was about to riot again. "Let's see who dares to move," the middle-aged woman shouted. The 4 urban management officers behind her stood in front, staring at them, as if they were ready to rush out at any time, full of oppression. This is the legendary strongest civilian armed force in Country Z, punching 3 mountains and kicking 4 seas. Everyone present was really scared and didn't dare to move. The middle-aged woman shouted, "Why are you in such a hurry? It's just food. I can assure you that there will be enough food. The street office has issued a notice saying that the city has made a decision to give priority to the basic living security of residents. Now there is plenty of food in the city's reserve warehouse. Not to mention 1 or 2 years, even 10 years will be enough for you to eat. and the city has also issued a notice that at this time, anyone who raises prices and disrupts social order will be charged with disturbing public order and taken away by the police. Wang Dahe, you little bastard, do you want to go to jail? If you dare to raise prices again, I will go back and tell your dad to deal with you. The chubby supermarket owner shrank his neck and dared not show his head. Okay, go away. What are you still doing? Those who should go to work should go to work, and those who should go to school should go to school. I still say that the sky has not fallen yet. Even if it really falls, it is not your turn to worry. Everyone present looked at each other, but under the sharp eyes of the middle-aged woman, they quickly dispersed. 4 city management officers also stepped forward immediately, helping Wang Dahe clean up the messy scene, while issuing a joint notice from the City Management Bureau and the Industry and Commerce Bureau. In a word, no price increases allowed. Whoever raises the price will be dealt with, from closing the store to heavy fines. After the cleanup was completed, an urban management officer said to the middle-aged woman, "Sister Zhou, you are still amazing. The veteran is here. 1 is worth 2. That's right, I have been here for decades. Who doesn't know me and dare not give me 3 points of face?" The middle-aged woman snorted proudly and said, "Let's go to the next game." The same scene happened in cities across the country. After the Foreign Observatory released the video of the battle with aliens, there was obviously a lot of riots in the country, but the riots came quickly and subsided quickly. The community maintained stability and a large number of police took to the streets. The most important thing is that the country has actually issued many regulations and immediately allocated a large amount of reserve grain to calm down prices. And for the merchants who drove up prices in the market, they also dealt with them without hesitation. In critical moments, heavy punishments should be used, and a wave of turmoil was almost instantly calmed. Zhou Yang was blasted back and didn't get the rice. He was depressed and worried. He searched the internet for relevant news and found that the situation was really serious. Because this battle was too close to the Earth, and it happened to be live broadcasting the completion of the lunar base, many observatories observed it. The whole process was tragic. Many military fans analyzed that, although country Z won in the end, the aliens only sent 1 warship. If many ships came at once, the Earth would definitely not be able to resist. This is also the reason why many people exclaimed that the world is coming to an end. At this moment, the phone rang. It was Zhang Qiang calling. In the video, Zhang Qiang had a panda eye and asked with a nice pack, "Old Chen, did you get the rice?" Zhou Yang shook his head in frustration and said, "Don't mention it. I was driven back by people in our community." Same. Zhang Qiang sighed and said, "But I found another way to get rice. Go online and grab it. All the takeaway websites seem to have rice, oil, noodles, etc. and the prices are super low. I have already placed an order." Really? Zhou Yang's eyes lit up, and he quickly logged into the relevant app. He found that, whether it was Mecha or malljd.com, they all had a striking rice and noodles section. It said that in response to the national call, a large amount of rice and noodles were prepared and sent at a discount to ensure the basic food needs of the people. Zhou Yang blinked his eyes, and the first thought in his mind was why these capitalists were so kind all of a sudden. Clicking it, he found that not only was the inventory amazingly large, but the price was really favorable, as Zhang Qiang said, almost 70% off the market price. Seeing this, what else is there to say? Zhou Yang quickly placed an order for a batch of rice and noodles, and was surprised to find that it was actually delivered in real time. At this time, Zhang Qiang suddenly said, "By the way, didn't you ask me to play games with you just now? Go online and defeat Serity to get the first kill." Zhou Yang's eyes widened and said, "Brother, it's already this late, and you still have the time to play games?" And it seemed that Zhang Qiang had just said this to him not long ago. Zhang Qiang's old face turned red, and he pouted. "I suddenly feel that what the people in the community said before is right. It's not our turn to worry about the sky falling, and even if the aliens really come, we have no way, so we have to do what we have to do. The most important thing is that I just found that Miracle has updated an announcement, which will greatly increase the explosion rate of the dungeon and increase the official recycling channel. If we get the first kill of Cerity and explode the Death Scepter, even if it is officially recycled, it will be 20,000 yuan. Brother, 20,000. Chen Qiaoyang's eyes twitched, and he said, wait, I'll go get the helmet. At this time, Chen Qiaoyang suddenly thought it through. Let him go. If he died, the boss that should be pushed down has not been pushed, and he will die with regret. Mecha headquarters. Boss, the volume of orders from the back end is too large. We don't have time to deliver them. Besides, we will lose too much if we do this. The boss of Mecha just hung up the phone and said, not enough manpower, right? It's okay. Matrix Energy has urgently approved 300,000 industrial robot quotas for us. You should contact them as soon as possible to see how to take over. As for losing money, who told you that these rice and flour were bought by us? Use your brain too. This is the country's reserve grain. The subordinates understood instantly. From beginning to end, all these actions were the country's means of stability. Chapter 363 Interrogation. Above the sea, many Xuanyuans stood proudly in the void, surrounding an island with a diameter of several kilometers below. The island had no proper name, and there was no obvious mark on the map. The island was clearly divided into two areas. On one side was a low hill 300 meters high with lush green trees, and on the other side was an open area with a flat forest. The alien warship slowly landed in the woods, crushing a patch of trees. The insects and birds in the woods were all startled. At this time, several high-frequency signal blockers had been transported over and arranged around the entire island. At the same time, the Xuanyuan, which arrived in advance, also turned into an industrial robot to open up the mountains on the other side of the island. All the trees were cut down and thrown into the sea. The low peaks were also cut according to the requirements. Zhou Yang planned to build a prison based on this hill to temporarily detain these aliens here. As for this warship, it must be pulled back to the institute for a search. There were still 2,000 Xuanyuans on the scene, which worked much faster than industrial robots. Soon, all the trees on the island were cut down, and then the mountain was excavated and cut. At this time, the Kunpeng, which Zhou Yang was riding, also arrived above the island. Inside the battleship, Fokman and others sat dejectedly, waiting for disposal. Guys, are we just giving up like this? A big man stood up and said, we still have spaceships and weapons, we can fight them. Everyone looked at him like an idiot, as if to say that, if you want to fight, go and fight it yourself. Fokman waved his hands tiredly and was looking for some information. After a while, he waved to the man with fangs and asked, Tuttle, do you think we are prisoners of war or criminals? Pointing to the information on the projection, Fokman said, I checked some information about the Omar Empire in the system. Their prisoner of war regulations are very cruel. All prisoners of war will be executed. Tuttle grinned and said, does the Omar Empire treat prisoners of war so harshly? Other empires will keep prisoners of war and use them to exchange for prisoners of war in their own countries. Fokman sighed and said, it seems that the Omar Empire has experienced many brutal wars since its rise, and there have been several times when civilization was almost extinct. I'm afraid it's for this reason that it is so cruel to the enemy. This should be the territory of the Omar Empire. If we follow the prisoner of war law, we will definitely die. But if we follow the laws of the Omar Empire, we may still be saved. You see, this is the territory of the Omar Empire. We are active in their territory and then have a war with their soldiers. It can be considered a rebellion. If it is a rebellion, we will only be exiled. In that case, we can still survive. Tuttle, do you think the laws of the Omar Empire should apply to our situation? Tuttle looked at Fokman speechlessly, as if exile would be enough. Exile means exiling you to a desolate resource planet to mine, where you will not have enough food or clothes, and you will not be able to escape, even if you want to. In a few years, you will probably die of exhaustion. Tuttle would rather die than suffer so much torture before death. At this moment, the intelligent control system appeared and said, Leader, the other party has spoken, and told everyone to drop their weapons and get off the spaceship. Fokman looked at everyone inside. Let's go. On the battleship, including Fokman himself, there were a total of 216 people. At this time, they all dropped their weapons and followed Fokman dejectedly to get off the battleship. Above the island, the Kunpeng was suspended in the air. Inside the Kunpeng, Zhou Yang, Li Xianshu and others were staring at the bottom. All the Xuanians around were also ready to attack at any time, to prevent the alien battleship from doing anything else. At the bottom of the battleship, a gap slowly opened, and then a ray of light shone out. In the light, figures walked out one after another. The leader was Forkman, whom Zhou Yang had seen before. These aliens really have some characteristics. A general besides Zhou Yang couldn't help but say. Everyone nodded. There were so many strange things, and no one was the same. Li Xianshu said, but overall, they are all humanoid, unlike in the movies, where there are all kinds of strange and bizarre things. Zhou Yang said to Fuxi, let them follow the Xuanian, and first take out their leader for me. I want to ask him questions. A group of Xuanians immediately stepped forward, and escorted many aliens to the prison in the distance. Now this prison is just a simple prototype, but it is enough to hold people. And Forkman was stopped by a Xuanian. Forkman was stunned, but he didn't think much about it. As the leader, he would probably be detained or interrogated alone. Anyway, they have surrendered, and if they don't obey, they will die. Forkman was calm, and stayed where he was quietly. At this time, the Xuanian in front of him projected some text. Forkman looked confused. The intelligent program understood the text of the Oma civilization, but he didn't understand it. Seeing that Forkman didn't move, the soldier driving the Xuanian took him to the bottom of the spacecraft and pointed to the spacecraft above. Forkman immediately understood that this was to let him take the Xuanian up. Forkman activated the tractor beam, and the light enveloped the two. The driver's eyes blurred, and he stepped on the ground and appeared inside the spacecraft. Xuanian then projected Zhou Yang's projection. Looking around, the interior of the spacecraft was dirty and looked like it had been used for a long time. Go to the control room. Words appeared in front of Zhou Yang. The intelligent control system called Black Flag also appeared beside Forkman, transformed into a dark ball of light, and said, he is going to the control room. Nowadays, only intelligent programs understand the Oma language. Forkman didn't waste any words, and took Zhou Yang directly to the control room. When he arrived at the control room, Zhou Yang looked around and there was nothing special. It was just what he imagined the control room of a spaceship to look like. You are an intelligent program. Zhou Yang turned to the Black Shadow. The Oma words appeared in front of the Black Shadow, which meant affirmation. Share all your data content. Zhou Yang said. Originally, Zhou Yang wanted to interrogate Forkman alone, but now that he found that the warship had an intelligent program, it would be more convenient to obtain intelligence information directly from the intelligent program. Asking one question at a time is still troublesome. The intelligent program said to Forkman, they want all my data. Forkman looked at the intelligent program speechlessly and said, it's already this time, why are you still looking at me? Give it to them. Forkman didn't care about data or not, he just wanted to survive. The intelligent program then asked Zhou Yang how to exchange data. Zhou Yang directly released the authority and let Fuxi communicate with the other party. The two intelligent programs should be able to communicate faster. Chapter 364 Four-dimensional space. In front of Zhou Yang, words of the Oma civilization appeared quickly. It was so fast that it was almost impossible to catch up. They were all intelligent programs, and they reacted quickly, so the speed was normal. Soon, Fuxi said to Zhou Yang, I'll let this intelligent program called Black Flag connect to the data network of Xuanian, and it is now transmitting data. Zhou Yang nodded with satisfaction, and then looked at Forkman. Forkman was startled and said quickly, we lost, and now we have surrendered. You can take away the spacecraft, data, and anything you want, but please don't kill us, okay? Fuxi said, Mr. Zhao, they don't seem to be the pioneers of any civilization, but a group of interstellar pirates. Interstellar pirates? Zhou Yang was stunned. Li Xianshu and others around him were also stunned at the same time. Immediately, Li Xianshu's eyes lit up and he said, so, if it's just this group of people, our Earth's location has not been exposed. Fuxi nodded and said, from the data I have learned, it should be like this. Although Black Flag has a lot of data, Fuxi's speed of processing data is also very fast. In the time it takes to speak, he has already understood the whole situation of this group of interstellar pirates. There are more than 200 of them. from different cosmic civilizations. This Forkman is their leader. They move between the major civilizations in the universe, robbing goods, or attacking weak civilizations and robbing resources, just like pirates. Everyone present breathed a sigh of relief. Even Zhou Yang was the same. Since they were pirates, they must be alone. Destroying their warships should not attract more enemies. Then how did they find the Earth? Did they pass by chance? Zhou Yang asked. Fuchsie said that they would also attack weak civilizations. Could it be that they were floating around in the universe at will, looking for civilized planets? Fuchsie shook his head and said, "No, sir, I overlooked one thing. Do you remember the huge 120 element, or in the underground space of Country M?" Zhou Yang was stunned. Of course he remembered it. Fuchsie said, "I just confirmed that about a few hours ago. Our miners found a special thing in the core of that element ore. They have reported it, but it has been too short, and they haven't reported it yet." Zhou Yang was stunned again. There was something in this element ore. What was it? And this thing they found should be called a star core. They came for this thing. Everyone was shocked. Star core, what is that? Fuchsie explained. A star core is a special thing formed when a star's lifespan is exhausted and it collapses under extremely special conditions. It plays a huge role in the universe and is a special energy source that can be used to build the strongest Titan-class space battleship. It's just that it's extremely difficult to obtain this thing because at the moment it collapses, the energy is compressed rapidly, which will make the weight of the star core at this time become extremely huge, forming a black hole. Then, the black hole will swallow the star core and teleport it to an unknown place through space jumps. If you want to capture a star core, you either have a powerful battleship that can counter black holes, or leave a special mark on the collapsed star in advance, and then track the special mark to find the star core after the star core is teleported away by the black hole. At this point, Fuchsie said, "Sir, they are the same group of people as Red Queen." Red Queen? Zhou Yang thought of a lot of things in an instant, and said, "In that case, Red Queen should have tracked this star core to come to Earth at the beginning, but may have encountered unknown situations, so the spacecraft crashed in Country M. But that's not right. How did the Red Queen find their mark on this star core at that time? At that time, the star core should still be deep underground, sealed in the 120 element mine, right? Also, the most important thing is that I previously speculated that the underground space was formed 65 million years ago when the asteroid hit the Earth and the Oma civilization was destroyed. That means that this star core should be something from 65 million years ago. The time doesn't match. You can't say that Fokman and his party have lived for 65 million years. Li Xianshu and others around were completely dumbfounded, as if they were listening to a heavenly book. Fuchsie said, "Sir, I think you may have overlooked the factor of the black hole. The concept of time may not exist inside the black hole. Another point is that in the universe, because of different gravity, the time will also be different, so maybe in the minds of Fokman and others, time has only passed for more than 100 years, but for us, 65 million years have passed." Zhou Yang nodded thoughtfully. What is a black hole? Humans have not yet thoroughly studied it, and the concept of time is also given by humans. And just as Fuchsie said, different regions in the universe will have different gravity, which will lead to time deviations. Just like the movie Interstellar, the protagonist went to a planet and felt that he had only stayed there for a few days, but when he returned to his spaceship, he found that decades had passed. In the end, the protagonist even went back to the past through a black hole. Although it is just a movie and science fiction, it actually has a certain theoretical basis. In Zhou Yang's opinion, the entire universe may be a multiple existence, just like humans have always speculated on the existence of four-dimensional space, and this dimension is the time dimension. Simply put, the concept of space is added to the three-dimensional dimension, but it is not located on the same plane, so the technology of space jump will appear, because in three-dimensional space, points that seem to be on different planes may overlap. Then if we add another dimension on this basis, the time dimension, then the same point may be on different time curves, but through the four-dimensional space, they can be connected together. In other words, 65 million years have passed on Earth, but in the same four-dimensional space, Forkman and his party may have only passed hundreds of years. and in the feeling of Forkman and others, they have indeed only passed hundreds of years. But in different dimensions, 65 million years have passed on Earth. And Red Queen and others have been on Earth for a full 90 years, but for Forkman and others, it may be just a moment. So now that they have come to our dimension, how should we calculate it? Do they calculate that 65 million years have passed in a flash? Rubbing his head, Zhou Yang felt that this thing was a bit brain burning. After all, the theory of four-dimensional space is really just a theory. However, with something like this happening, only this theory can explain it all. Hurry up and contact the person in charge of mining over there to seal up the site, Zhou Yang said. Forkman and his group came to Earth with a large force, just for such a star core, which shows how amazing the value of this star core is. Of course, a star core that fell from the sky and was given away for free should be used well. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 365 Super Weapon. Inside the spaceship, Forkman was still looking at Zhou Yang eagerly, feeling uneasy, waiting for the final judgment. After waiting for a long time, Zhou Yang moved. After glancing at Forkman, Zhou Yang disappeared directly. Zhou Yang had no good feelings towards Forkman and his people. They were a group of interstellar pirates who plundered between the universes and committed countless crimes. And the most important thing is that in the previous war, how many brave soldiers died tragically? Hundreds of people. Those who can drive the Zhou Yang are all elites among the elites. Maybe it's not as exaggerated as the fighter pilots in the past, where a pilot is worth as much gold as his body, but every pilot is also a precious treasure of the country. That is to say, Forkman and his group of people still have some use now. After the interrogation, everyone will be executed to comfort the souls of those soldiers in heaven. You can't kill me. According to the prisoner of war regulations, I should be treated well. Forkman saw that Zhou Yang's expression was wrong, and he immediately became anxious and shouted loudly. The Zhou Yang next to him stepped forward and pressed Forkman directly. Forkman was no match for the Mecha, and was controlled to be motionless. Stop talking nonsense and follow me. The driver snorted coldly. It was because of these aliens that so many of his comrades died tragically. If there was no requirement from above that Forkman could not be killed, he would have wanted to slap Forkman to death. Inside the Kunpeng, Zhou Yang said, Fuxi, you make arrangements. Use the intelligent program to interrogate each pirate. Aren't they from different civilizations? Ask them about their respective civilizations, all aspects, all information. After the interrogation, execute them directly. Is it okay? Zhou Yang looked at Li Xianshu. Li Xianshu did not speak. A general next to him said, is there any need to ask? Of course they should be executed, otherwise our soldiers would have died in vain. Li Xianshu nodded vigorously. As long as it was determined that these aliens were of no value, why keep them? Wouldn't it be a waste of food? Fuxi, arrange for someone to bring this spaceship back to the research institute and organize people to dismantle it for me immediately. The main focus is on the weapon system, power system, space jump system, and the most critical is the energy shield system. Originally, Zhou Yang planned to complete the construction of a planetary spaceship within 2 to 3 years, because many technologies need to be broken through, but now there is such a complete alien warship as a reference, which is much more convenient. Reverse engineering is what Country Z is best at. By the way, dismantle the Red Queen spaceship for me. Even Forkman was captured, and the remaining Red Queen was of no use. Then you should go back first. The news of the aliens has leaked, and there are still many things to do. Zhou Yang said again. Li Xianshu and others nodded. Indeed, the most important thing now is to maintain social stability. What about you? Li Xianshu asked. Zhou Yang said, I'm going to Country M to see that star core. The value of this star core is not low, and it must not be wasted. Zhou Yang wants to study it carefully. Fuxi said before that this star core is the key to building a Titan-class spaceship. Li Xianshu quickly arranged for Zhou Yang's guards. The group separated. For convenience and safety, Zhou Yang also put on a Zhou Yang and led 10 Zuanians to quickly go to Country M underground space of Country M. The responsible persons Qin Cheng and Lin Ming have received feedback from their superiors, asking them to seal off the scene and wait for further orders. Manager, what do you think this thing is? Deputy Lin Ming asked curiously. Qin Cheng curled his lips and said, who knows? Anyway, we just do what the superiors tell us to do. Why bother so much? Lin Ming nodded. At this time, a series of mechas quickly appeared in the field of vision of the two. Oh my god, it's the Zuanian, and so many of them came at once. Lin Ming exclaimed. Qin Cheng's face also changed slightly. The Zuanian, what it represents is different. What Qin Cheng didn't expect was that when many Zuanian mechas landed in front of the two, the leading Zuanian mecha opened its mask, and it turned out to be a very familiar face. Mr. Zhao. Qin Cheng was shocked. Lin Ming beside him was also very excited. He never thought that even Zhou Yang would come in person. Where is the thing? Zhou Yang asked directly with a serious expression without too much politeness. Qin Cheng came back to his senses and quickly pointed to the distance and said, it's just in front. I have arranged industrial robots to block the surroundings. Zhou Yang nodded and walked over directly. Soon, he came to the front of the star core. Zhou Yang squatted down and looked at the star core carefully. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, Zhou Yang would not have believed that this thing with a diameter of only 10 meters in front of him was actually the remnant of a star after its lifespan was exhausted. That's a star. This thing is really amazing, Zhou Yang exclaimed. What shocked Zhou Yang the most was not how the star collapsed into such a small core, but what kind of structure was inside the star core after the collapse to prevent the energy from leaking out. One has to cite the magic of the universe. Fuchs's voice sounded, sir, I searched the information sent by Black Flag, and there is no technical information on how to use the star core. Normal, if according to what they said, the star core is the key material for building the Titan-class battleship, and the Titan-class battleship is the top and strongest space battleship in the universe, then how to use the star core must be the core secret of the major cosmic civilizations. They are just a group of interstellar pirates. How could they know such a top secret? According to the information Fuchsy got, the reason why the Titan-class battleship is called Titan-class and can be the top battleship in the universe is that the biggest difference compared to ordinary battleships is that the Titan-class battleship has super weapons. According to the information, the main weapons of the battleship can be roughly divided into laser weapons. Whether it is pure laser, particle beam, or plasma, all can be classified into this category. This type of weapon is also the most mainstream weapon system in space. The rest are gravity beam weapons, which directly capture the opponent's battleship through gravitational traction, etc. There are also some conventional weapons used on the surface of the planet, etc. These can only be regarded as ordinary weapons, but super weapons are a completely different concept. It is stated in the information that the starting standard for a super weapon is a weapon that can destroy a planet with one strike, or even a star system like the solar system. Whether it is a super-powered laser beam weapon or other strange and special weapons, as long as it meets this condition, it can be considered a Titan-class battleship. Undoubtedly, to drive such a powerful super weapon, it must also require a huge amount of energy. Although nuclear fusion energy is strong, 100 SAR bombs cannot blow up the Earth, so nuclear energy is far from enough to drive a super weapon. And the star core, as the energy core left over from the collapse of a star, can have such incredible power. Chapter 366, Level 3 Civilization. After coming back to his senses, Zhou Yang looked at the star core in front of him. This thing must be taken back and studied carefully, but this thing contains incredible energy. It is no exaggeration to say that, if the internal power explodes, the Earth will be destroyed in minutes. No bomb can compare with it. However, Zhou Yang can be sure of one thing, that is, this thing is still very stable for the time being, especially the external structure, because when the industrial robot discovered it before, the breaker hammer used must have touched the star core. Under the impact of the breaker hammer, the shell of the star core has not been damaged. You can imagine how hard it is. But for safety reasons, Zhou Yang decided to cut a little more of the 120 element ore along the periphery of the star core, make a shell, and transport the star core back. Qin Cheng, right? You will arrange the industrial robot to cut along the periphery of this thing now, just 50 centimeters away, and cut out a square. Zhou Yang said. Qin Sheng nodded quickly and immediately understood what Zhou Yang meant and quickly arranged the industrial robot to carry out the construction. Zhou Yang did not stay at the scene either. He told Qin Sheng to ensure the safety of the star core no matter what. After the excavation was completed, he would arrange for the Kunpeng to transport it. After the arrangement was made, Zhou Yang left and returned to the institute. At this moment, he had too many things to do. After returning to the institute, the warship of Fockman and his team had been towed back to the institute. Mr. Zhao, you are finally back. Li Bingxuan and his team hurriedly greeted Zhou Yang. Where is the spaceship? Zhou Yang asked. Li Bingxuan said, it has been transported to the assembly workshop. This alien warship is not very big, about 120 meters long. If the support frame is opened, the height is about 30 meters, which is considered mini. However, although it is small, it has all the necessary internal organs, and the technological content inside is not low. When they came to the spacious assembly workshop, the dark triangular warship had been placed in the center, surrounded by researchers who were pointing and talking around the alien warship. Li Ziyu! Zhou Yang shouted, and Li Ziyu hurried forward. I'll give you a list, you make the arrangements, and have the people on the list report to me quickly for the meeting. Li Ziyu nodded vigorously. On the way back, Zhou Yang had already sorted out the list, which was mainly composed of the heads of the planetary battleship project and various pre-research project groups, as well as the heads of some other key technical projects. The total number was more than 20 people, which could be said to be the core of Zhou Yang's command of this huge scientific research team. At this moment, Zhou Yang's mobile phone suddenly rang. He took it out and saw that it was Gao Cheng who called. Gao Cheng is still in country Yi, doing his research. He didn't know why he called at this time. It couldn't be that there was a breakthrough in gene modification technology. Zhou Yang had always been concerned about this taboo technology, but there has been no major breakthrough so far. After answering the phone, Gao Cheng made a simple polite remark and asked, Mr. Zhao, have we captured a group of aliens? The aliens' attack on the Earth was a hot topic and was known to the world. Of course, Gao Cheng also knew about it. Yes, what's wrong? Zhou Yang did not hide it. Gao Cheng Dao, it's like this, Mr. Zhao, I want to apply to join and study the life forms of these aliens. These people are the best way for us to understand alien civilizations, especially the life of alien civilizations. Through these studies, perhaps we can solve some key problems of the origin of life in the universe. By the way, it is also very helpful for my current research. Zhou Yang frowned slightly. He had no psychological burden to execute these aliens, but he felt that it was a bit too much to slice and study these aliens. But then he thought, maybe one day, if the Earthlings fall into the hands of aliens, I'm afraid they will also study the life of the unknown civilization of the Earthlings. So there is no need to be too kind. How about this? I will arrange for someone to send you and your R&D team to the prison where these aliens are held. You will be responsible for collecting samples from these aliens. But it is limited to sample collection. Gao Cheng, do you understand what I mean? Although we will eventually execute these aliens, the execution is because they have committed a crime, but this is not a reason for us to torture them. We are a civilization that is about to go to the universe. Since we are a civilization, we should have basic moral principles of civilization. Do you understand? Zhou Yang thought it was okay to draw blood and take a film, but he thought it was unnecessary to do dissection and slice research, and Zhou Yang believed that, even if he did so, he would not be able to find anything. Gao Cheng said, I understand, Mr. Zhao. That's good, you get ready, I will arrange someone to pick you up. It is expected that it will take 3 hours for all the people on Zhou Yang's list to arrive. During these 3 hours, Zhou Yang was not idle and began to check the many materials received by Fuxi. There are not many technical materials that Zhou Yang cares about the most, such as the energy shield used by this battleship and the technical principles and materials of the tractor beam. But it's normal to think about it. They are just a group of pirates, and they don't have much culture. And this warship was not built by them, nor was it bought directly. They must not know the technology on the spacecraft. But in addition to technical information, the records of various civilizations are still very interesting. Like Fokman, they will update the database of the battleship's intelligent program. There are also special channels in the universe. The main purpose is to understand the intelligence of various civilizations and the technological situation of many civilizations. The main purpose of doing this is to rob better, so as not to rob a powerful civilization and encounter a powerful warship that cannot be distinguished, so as not to kick on the iron plate. So these information about the major civilizations in the universe are also very useful for Zhou Yang. According to the data I sorted out, they have collected relevant data on a total of 1,742 civilizations. These data include basic information about these civilizations, their customs, written languages, administrative systems, technological levels, etc., which are quite detailed. From these data, it can be seen that civilizations in the universe are divided into 3 levels, based on their energy utilization efficiency. In level 1, civilization can develop and utilize all the energy of the planet it is on. In level 2, civilization can develop and utilize all the energy of the star system it is in. In level 3, civilization can develop and utilize all the energy of an entire galaxy. With the current technological level of the Earth, we should be considered a level 1 civilization. Everything in the world, the rise and fall of civilizations, ultimately depends on energy. So it's normal to use energy utilization to distinguish the levels of civilizations. And as far as Zhou Yang knows, astronomers on Earth have also proposed similar concepts. Chapter 367. Disassembly begins. 1,742 civilizations. Zhou Yang browsed through the information of these civilizations with a heavy heart. This is just what Fokman knows, and 9 out of 9 of these civilizations are civilizations within the Milky Way. You know, the diameter of Milky Way is more than 100,000 light years. Among them, there are nearly 400 billion star systems like the solar system, as well as various nebulae and star cluster structures. In such a large Milky Way, there are more than 1,700 civilizations. What about outside the Milky Way? The Milky Way is already incredibly large for humans, but in the entire universe, the Milky Way is nothing at all. Above the Milky Way, there are also hierarchical structures such as galaxy clusters, and superclusters. A galaxy cluster is a small celestial structure composed of many galaxies. For example, in the galaxy cluster to which the Milky Way belongs, there are 50 galaxies of different sizes, occupying a range of about 10 million light-years in the entire universe. Further up, there is the Virgo cluster, which contains 2,500 galaxies as large as the Milky Way. At this point, it feels very huge. But compared with the entire universe, it is not worth mentioning. For example, if the universe is as big as the Earth, then the Virgo galaxy cluster may be as big as a ping pong ball. A ping pong ball on the Earth is as big as. There are more than 1,700 civilizations in the Milky Way. How many civilizations can there be in the entire universe? Zhou Yang dared not imagine it. However, among these more than 1,700 civilizations, 90% are first-level civilizations, only 10% are second-level civilizations, and there is only one third-level civilization. The only third-level civilization is called the Hirana civilization. According to the information, this civilization is extremely powerful and is located in the center of the Milky Way. The approximate location should be the location of Sagittarius in the human star constellation. The entire Hirana civilization rules more than 7,000 stars similar to the solar system and has a population of billions. Their technology is extremely prosperous, and they have a large number of Titan-class battleships that can easily reach any area in the Milky Way. The power of such a civilization is completely beyond Zhou Yang's imagination. In addition, Zhou Yang also found information about the Oma civilization in these materials. Oma civilization, a second-level civilization, ruled 3 star systems and had a population of 27 billion. Moreover, in these data, it was also shown that Oma civilization was at war with a civilization called Decidin, which was 35 light-years away from them. Fokman and his party appeared nearby, preparing to participate in this war to see if there was an opportunity to make a fortune. Zhou Yang carefully checked the data of Oma civilization. From the data, it can be seen that our civilization has developed very well. At least it has stood firm in the Milky Way, has a large number of space battleships, prosperous technology, space jumps, and can easily expand outward. Just as he was watching, Li Xiaoyu knocked on the door and said, "Mr. Zhao, everyone is here." Zhou Yang came back to his senses and put down the data. It's not too late to study these data slowly later. Although there is no specific scientific and technological information, it is still very valuable for research. At least it can let Zhou Yang know the direction of scientific and technological development and what to study. When they came to the assembly workshop, the researchers who were watching the excitement had left, leaving only 22 heads of various project groups. Seeing Zhou Yang, everyone came forward. After some courtesy, Zhou Yang led everyone to the front of the triangular battleship. "Everyone, we are all scientists, and we should understand what the appearance of this battleship represents." Zhou Yang pointed to the battleship behind him and said. Everyone present nodded solemnly. The appearance of aliens means that the Earth has been detected by aliens, and the Earth will no longer be safe. Before more aliens appear, without sufficient self-protection capabilities, what awaits mankind will be destruction. Now, the Earth has entered a state of emergency. At that time, we will concentrate all the resources of mankind to conduct research, so that we have enough self-protection power to deal with any situation that arises. Looking at the time, Zhou Yang said, "I have another meeting later, so I won't say any more nonsense. Let's get started. We still have to continue building the space base, because we are going to build a defense line outside the Earth, and Mars is the location of this defense line. On this defense line, we will build some large defense weapons, such as large laser cannons." Academician Lin Zhou Yang looked at Lin Dawei. When Zhou Yang returned to Earth, he had discussed the idea of building the first defense line of the Earth on Mars with the higher-ups, and the higher-ups basically approved Zhou Yang's idea. Lin Dawei stepped forward, and Zhou Yang continued, "So we need to upgrade the laser weapons again, refer to the laser weapons on this warship, and create a powerful defensive laser beam weapon that can be deployed in a fixed position." Lin Dawei nodded and said nothing more. "And the next step is our spaceship construction plan. Originally, I planned to complete it within 2 to 3 years, but now, obviously there is not so much time, so we can no longer follow the old path of researching and then producing, but researching and producing at the same time." Everyone frowned slightly. Researching and producing at the same time is extremely difficult. "Mr. Zhao, if we do this, will it take more time to modify it in the middle?" Everyone nodded in agreement, which was also what they were worried about. Zhou Yang said, "This requires us to do a good job of advanced calculation when designing, and to consider it comprehensively. Of course, I know this will be difficult, but it can greatly save our research and development time, and allow the warships belonging to our Earth to be launched ahead of schedule." Everyone looked at each other and said no more. Just like Zhou Yang said, before the unknown danger comes, no one knows how much time humans have, so it is always right to prepare in advance. We will dismantle and study this warship according to the relevant technical difficulties, especially the energy defense shield and traction technology, which are the key research objects. In conjunction with our previous preliminary research on related technologies, we will come up with a research and development plan as soon as possible, and then organize forces to conduct research. Everyone, at this time, I'm your most solid backing. If you need any resources or manpower, please tell me at any time and I will help you solve it. Do you understand?" Everyone nodded. Zhou Yang was in charge of the central government and was responsible for the general direction. At the same time, it was also the most important to do a good job in logistics. The required resources could be deployed as soon as possible. All of these needed to be arranged by Zhou Yang. There is still a little time, so let's discuss where to start dismantling. Zhou Yang said at last. Chapter 368 Outpost. After studying with everyone for a while, it was finally decided to dismantle from the outside to the inside, so that the structure of the spacecraft and the design ideas could be more intuitively understood. After arranging the strategy, Zhou Yang hurried back to meet with the emergency committee. The meeting was held in the virtual reality space, and Zhou Yang also saw the new president of country M. Scene. "Mr. Zhao, Xin took the initiative to step forward and greet Zhou Yang. Nowadays, who can't see that Zhou Yang has huge power in this emergency committee? After all, as the world's undisputed first scientist, facing such an unknown alien invasion crisis, Zhou Yang's wisdom is definitely indispensable. Zhou Yang still felt very sorry for the tragic death of Pear, the funny guy, and this Xin, who was an old school politician, didn't talk much, but as the saying goes, a dog that bites doesn't bark, and people like Xin are not easy to deal with. However, now that the world is unified, with the military strength of country Z, it is not afraid of any more storms from country M. Everyone sat down and first discussed the issue of social stability. There is nothing much to say about this, just combine guidance and punishment in troubled times. Zhou Yang, on the other hand, was lost in thought, thinking about the next R&D plan. As he was talking, he mentioned the Mars defense line. Zhou Yang brought this up, and everyone looked at him. Zhou Yang came back to his senses, stood up, and waved his hand, and a holographic projection of Mars appeared in front of him. My idea is that Mars is 50 million kilometers away from us. Even if we fly at the speed of light, it will take several minutes. Although this time is not much, it is enough for us to make some reactions. Therefore, we need to build an outpost base to detect the arrival of the enemy and to carry out the first wave of defense. My design is to launch 12 detectors in the synchronous orbit of Mars for long-term operation. They can monitor enemies from any direction in the universe and have the function of guiding laser weapons. Then, we will build 18 large laser cannon bases around Mars. Each large laser cannon base has several high-power laser cannons. I have already asked people to develop related weapons. As for why 18 are built, it is because when Mars rotates, half of them, that is, 9 laser cannon bases, can attack the enemy at any time. Everyone nodded secretly and expressed their agreement with Zhou Yang's idea. At this time, Xin said, Mr. Zhou, I have a slightly different opinion. Oh. Zhou Yang looked at Xin. Xin smiled and said, of course, I'm not against building an outpost on Mars, but 18 laser cannon bases are a bit too few, and you said that, because of the rotation of Mars, even if the enemy appears, there are only 9 bases to attack the enemy. So I think, why don't we build more, multiply it several times? I think the enemy will definitely be a large-scale space fleet, and the number of these laser cannons is small, so it shouldn't be very useful. Zhou Yang looked at Xin strangely, thinking that Xin was against it, but he didn't expect him to propose to increase it. It's easy to increase, but what about the funds? Since we are going to build an outpost on Mars, all countries in the world will definitely pay for it. The stronger the strength, the more it will pay. For an economic strength like that of the United States, at least 20 to 30% will be paid. So the more it builds, the more money the United States will pay. When did the United States become so kind? The other people also looked at Xin with some doubts, but in the end they all looked at Zhou Yang. Mr. Zhou, do you think this is necessary? If Zhou Yang said it was necessary, then let alone multiplying it several times. Even if it was 10 times the construction, no one would object. Zhou Yang thought about it seriously and said, let's build it according to my design. There are 2 reasons. First, a laser cannon base has at least 10 large laser cannons, so in terms of firepower, it is not bad. Second, if we build more, we will consume more resources. We don't need to put our limited resources on such a fixed outpost that may be destroyed by the enemy at any time. In Zhou Yang's opinion, the outpost mainly serves as an early warning. When attacking the enemy, it is also a test to fire a shot. It would be best if we can kill some enemies, but if we can't, forget it. And basically, even if we really build it, we only have the opportunity to fire a shot. I'm afraid that we may not be able to kill several enemy warships in one attack. In a round of salvos from the enemy, these fixed laser cannon bases will only be destroyed. So building too many is a complete waste. Everyone stopped talking, and Xin hurriedly said, since Mr. Zhou said so, then everything is up to you. Zhou Yang sat down, and he didn't care about the money and other things next. Then, he talked about the construction of the Space Force. If before, each country could do its own thing, then this time, it might not work. So even if a Space Force is to be established, it should be established by all countries in the world. It can be said that it belongs to mankind. Zhou Yang definitely supports this unconditionally. When it comes to sharing the defense zone, Scene suddenly said, everyone, the military strength of our countries is strong and weak. If we let each of us defend a defense zone, I'm afraid we won't be strong enough. If country Z can support some high-tech weapons, such as laser cannons, mechas, etc., that would be the best. The eyes of other countries lit up. Country M is taking the opportunity to ask for weapons. It depends on whether country Z will give it or not. If not, it's said that the world will defend together, but nothing has happened yet. You don't even give us powerful weapons. How can we unite like this? Mr. Zhao, what do you think? Scene looked at Zhou Yang again. Zhou Yang was slightly stunned. Scene was indeed much more difficult to deal with than Pear. He said before that he would build more space bases. It seemed that he was deliberately trying to sell himself out. Now he wanted to get his support. The key is that Scene's proposal is still very reasonable. The person in charge of the opposite country Z also looked at Zhou Yang. Mr. Zhao, what do you think? The voice of the person in charge sounded beside Zhou Yang's ear. No one heard it. In the virtual space, it is possible to secretly transmit sound. As long as you think about something, it can be converted into data and appear next to the other person's ear, and it can also ensure that it is not heard by others. Of course, ordinary people do not have this authority. Zhou Yang sighed in his heart. At this time, each country still has its own little thoughts. Countries and nations, these inherent concepts formed over a long period of time, cannot be changed in a short period of time by a confederation. Even if the other country is destroyed, it may not be changed without a few generations. Chapter 369 Energy Generator. Zhou Yang felt that it was unnecessary to turn against each other and force the countries at this time. It would only take a few minutes to destroy the countries, but what would happen if they were destroyed? The countries were in chaos. It was unknown how long it would take to clean up this mess. It would be funny if there were more countries that wanted to recover and we had to suppress them. As I said before, the concept of a country was formed over a long period of time, and it was not easy to erase it. So in order to better utilize the resources and power of countries around the world, it would be okay to give them some benefits. Moreover, Zhou Yang believed that it was simply a death wish for such a group of rabble to want to rebel. Even the weapons you use are ours. If you still want to rebel, all the weapons will be scrapped with the ultimate authority. You can purchase them. Zhou Yang said in his heart. The person in charge of the opposite country Z understood and said to everyone, yes, all the existing weapons, laser cannons, and mechas can be purchased from us. Several representatives nodded one after another, their faces full of joy that could not be concealed. But, at this time, the head of country Z continued, we'll talk about the purchase price later, but the weapons purchased by each country must obey the command of the emergency committee. As soon as this was said, Scene and others all changed their faces slightly. So, the weapons were bought at a high price, and how to use them still depends on the command of your country Z. It is said that it is the command of the emergency committee, but the emergency committee is not the one-man show of country Z in this way. It is like spending money to help your country Z build an army, and all countries have become tools of your country Z. Scene frowned, and this result obviously could not satisfy him. You have no objection, right? The head of country Z looked at everyone. Several people looked at each other, who dared to have an opinion, and it was also clearly written, when the Confederation Agreement was signed, that the military forces of all countries must obey the mobilization of country Z. Okay, since there is no objection, then this matter is settled, and we will continue to talk about other things. The head of country Z said. Just one sentence, not even giving a chance to object. Several people were helpless, and they felt that, even if they did not take the initiative to fight for it, maybe in the end, for the safety of the defense zones of various countries, country Z might take the initiative to give them mechas to help them defend. Now doing this is simply stealing a chicken and losing a rice. After everyone said something else, the meeting was coming to an end. At this time, Zhou Yang said, I have one more thing. After everyone looked at him, Zhou Yang said, for the sake of safety and security, I think it is necessary to prepare an evacuation plan. According to the old saying of country Z, it is better to be safe than sorry. The purpose of this move is also to preserve the fire of human civilization. Everyone was slightly stunned. Scene hurriedly said, "Mr. Zhou, is this necessary? Does the evacuation plan really require us to abandon the Earth, go to an unknown planet, and wander in the universe?" "Yes, and if even you have no confidence, what can we do? Burning the boats, and burning the boats also requires morale. It is really a bit of a blow to morale, to prepare to escape, after fighting a battle with aliens." Zhou Yang said, "Confidence is confidence, preparation is preparation. I still say that I'm a scientist. I don't talk about opportunism. It's always right to be prepared. And this evacuation plan doesn't need to consume too many resources. It's always right to have more preparations." Several people looked at each other. Zhou Yang said, "So, what else can they say? And an evacuation plan doesn't consume too many resources." After the meeting, Zhou Yang immediately devoted himself to the dismantling of the alien warship. What Zhou Yang cares about most is the energy shield. Through the analysis of the data of the Black Flag, Zhou Yang and others have locked the basic structure of the energy shield. "It should be this thing," Yi Rongming said. Zhou Yang looked at the standard black cube in front of him with a side length of 2 meters, and fell into deep thought. This thing in front of him is the core key of the energy shield, the energy emission system. Of course, this is only the main system. At the same time, there are 12 auxiliary generator systems in various key parts around the spacecraft, to control the energy shield in more detail. Now the system is closed, so Zhou Yang stepped forward, and reached out to touch it. Pure metal, and extremely hard, should be a special packaging technology. The purpose is obviously, to prevent others from obtaining this technology. Take it down, scan it first, and then cut the shell to see if it can be cut open, Zhou Yang ordered. It is very simple to take it down. This core generator is fixed on a special charging platform, and charged with the energy of the spacecraft. If you want to take it down, just open the locking structure and you can easily take it down. First, an X-ray scan is performed on the generator. Unfortunately, there is no result and the internal structure cannot be seen at all. In this case, it can only be cut. The cutting method is still the same as the laser cutting device that was used to cut the Oma civilization base on the back of the moon. However, in order to avoid damaging the internal structure, the whole process must be extremely careful. It is no exaggeration to say that it is almost millimeter by millimeter. In order to avoid wasting time, Zhou Yang arranged several teams to work at the same time to maximize the speed. But it will probably take several days to complete the disassembly. At the same time, the disassembly of other structures of the battleship has been basically completed. Zhou Yang is more concerned about the systems, such as the power system. This alien warship still uses fusion energy, but the specific method of fusion is different from the method used by Surenchi now. The fusion materials may be different, and the specific methods are not exactly the same. But the entire power structure is very large, and is the core system of the warship. It is not easy to disassemble it. Only after other systems are disassembled one by one can the power system be disassembled. Then there is the propulsion system, which is not a curvature engine, but a large particle thruster. It is not that the alien technology is too bad, but the technology of the warship bought by Fockman is not high. However, this large particle thruster is also very valuable for research, because after sufficient acceleration, its maximum speed is even higher than the semi-finished curvature engine developed by Zhou Yang, reaching about 30,000 kilometers per second. Then there is the space jump instrument that Zhou Yang cares more about. This thing is recorded in the data of the Black Flag. The warship bought by Fockman originally did not have the ability to jump in space. It was later that he became rich and spent money to modify it. The entire system, located directly above the power system, is a structure similar to a casino roulette wheel, encapsulated by a special transparent material. 2 spherical structures can be seen inside, surrounding the center. Chapter 370 Human Seed Bank. Zhou Yang didn't know the specific principle. The system didn't give the technology of space jump. It would be given as a reward after Zhou Yang built a planetary spaceship. But Zhou Yang could make some guesses. The key to space jump is obviously to open a space channel, or a wormhole. To open a wormhole, it is necessary to consume a huge amount of energy. Nuclear energy is probably not enough. Because nuclear energy, or fusion energy, is at best only stellar energy. The sun is constantly fusing. but space jump means jumping between the entire universe. Star level energy obviously cannot meet this requirement. So stronger energy is needed, the energy of galaxies, the energy of the universe, such as antimatter energy. And looking at the data of the black flag, every once in a while, this space jump device needs to be repaired and maintained at the designated location, most likely to replenish the starting energy for the jump. At the same time, Zhou Yang also saw a mark on this space jump generator, which is an inverted triangle with a split in the middle. Hirana. Zhou Yang has read the relevant civilization introduction information. The mark in front of him is the mark of Hirana. In other words, the space jump device in front of us was produced by the Hirana civilization. But it is normal to think about it. In the Milky Way, a second level civilization can only use the entire energy of the star system, that is, fusion energy. Therefore, it is almost impossible for a second level civilization to build a space jump. The only third level civilization that can build a space jump device must be Hirana, the only third level civilization. Mr. Zhou, do we need to dismantle it? Now this spaceship is still in good condition. Why don't we start it and try it out? Li Bingxuan made a suggestion. Zhou Yang also had this idea at the beginning. Space jump, maybe you can find out some technical directions by jumping and trying it. But then he thought about it and gave up. Where to jump? Don't jump over and have any accidents. Don't come back and laugh. I definitely can't take risks, and relying on others' oral descriptions is not very helpful for a search. Forget it. Zhou Yang shook his head and touched the transparent material on the outside of the space jump device. It was different from the modified single crystal silicon, and he didn't know what material it was. He said, first, find a way to disassemble it. We need to disassemble it intact. This space jump device was added later, so it should be easier to disassemble. The disassembly work continued. It took 3 days, and 8 teams worked in shifts to finally polish off the external packaging material of the energy shield. But what Zhou Yang didn't expect was that the internal structure was actually damaged. Mr. Zhou, we have been very careful, but I don't know why it looks like this. When we open it, the heads of several work groups were pale and their eyes were full of anxiety. Such a critical energy generator, and there was only one of them, was actually broken by them. Zhou Yang squatted down and carefully examined the internal structure. The thickness of the packaging material was about 50 centimeters. The internal structure was extremely complex, and both the material and design were completely different from the Earth's technology. Now, these delicate internal structures seem to have been blown up by a bomb. Almost all of them are damaged and charred. Only a basic frame is left. It is impossible to tell what it looked like originally. Picking up a broken part, Zhou Yang sighed lightly, stood up and patted Corning, who was in charge of the operation, and said, forget it, don't blame you. I thought it was simple. It seems that there is also intellectual property protection in the universe. Obviously, this thing is not only encapsulated with high-strength metal to hinder all means of exploration, but also has a self-destruct device inside. There may be some sensors installed inside the encapsulated metal. Once the encapsulated metal is damaged, the self-destruct device will be activated immediately to destroy the internal structure to ensure that the relevant technology is not leaked. Such a design is normal if you think about it carefully. The confidential technology developed by a powerful civilization can be sold to the outside world, but it will never allow a low-level civilization to reverse engineer and develop products from the products. In that case, it is not selling products to make money, but aiding the enemy. Similar designs. Zhou Yang also saw some inside the spacecraft during the dismantling work in the past few days. They are all installed once, and there is no consideration of subsequent replacement, so you can only dismantle them violently. Zhou Yang also dismantled the space jump device, but after seeing what happened, he didn't dare to dismantle it. He kept it and loaded it on the warship he built. And when he finished building the spaceship, he could also get the relevant technology from the system. However, this dismantling, especially such a complete spaceship, still provided great help to the research of spaceship. The major project teams were fully started and began to develop spaceships with all their strength. In the outside world, the turmoil has not ended. All countries have introduced policies to stabilize the pressure, but except for country Z, the effect is not very good. Foreigners are still very prominent in worrying about the sky, and the reason is probably that they are too idle. Developing countries like Country Z, poor countries, worry about how to make money to support themselves every day, so how can they worry about whether they can see the sun tomorrow? And at this time, a message was spreading at an incredible speed. The message was that countries around the world were preparing to run away. The source of the news at the beginning was that after the news of aliens was exposed, many people began to promote the theory of the end of the world. Among them, it was inevitable to mention that, like the movie 2012, the elites and politicians of various countries secretly prepared an evacuation plan, ready to abandon all mankind and flee. They said that they were preserving the flame of human civilization, but in fact they were just running away. But many people still believed this. At first, only a few people were discussing it, but soon, a piece of news completely detonated these remarks. The Svalbard seed vault located in the Arctic Circle, Norway, was exposed to have a large number of staff members of unknown origin, as well as the military and so on, and transport planes took off and landed. This seed bank was established a long time ago. Like various gene banks around the world, it preserves more than 4,000 plant species and 860,000 plant seeds around the world. The establishment of this thing is to worry that one day, after the Earth's civilization is greatly destroyed, humans will still have a place to preserve the world's plant seeds. Therefore, the construction standard of this thing is not low, but it can withstand nuclear bomb attacks. Now, a large number of mysterious people suddenly appeared, along with transport planes. They were obviously transporting the backup seeds in the seed bank. The reason for transporting them was that they were preparing to flee. So once the news was exposed, there were many arguments that governments of various countries secretly prepared evacuation plans and were ready to abandon all mankind. There were even scammers who took advantage of the opportunity to cause trouble and began to secretly sell tickets to board the wandering spaceship. Chapter 371 I was scammed of 100 million. SZ City, a Mercedes-Benz nanny car slowly drove into the Nanshan branch of the Public Security Bureau. A beautiful woman sat in the car, looking anxious, but she was not in a hurry to get off. She said to the female assistant next to her, "Zhou Yang, go in first and see if there are many people. If there are too many people, we will go in later." The assistant nodded, got off the car, and walked towards the reporting hall. She looked around for a few times before coming back and saying to the beautiful woman, "Sister Zhou, I saw that there are not many people." The woman nodded, then got off the car, wearing sunglasses and a mask, looking around, and walked into the reporting hall carefully. She sat down and was greeted by a young policeman. Looking at the woman in front of him whose face he couldn't even see clearly, he frowned, but didn't say anything, and asked, "Tell me, what case do you want to report?" The woman looked around and lowered her voice and said, "Comrade policeman, I was cheated." The young policeman rolled his eyes, opened the report record form, and asked, "Name, phone number, home address. By the way, how much money were you cheated of?" The woman raised a finger. 1,000 or 10,000? Asked the young policeman. The woman shook her head and said, "No, it's 100 million. How much?" The young policeman's butt tilted, almost falling off the chair, looking at the woman in disbelief, and said, "You said you were cheated of 100 million. The woman nodded. The young policeman looked at the woman doubtfully, but after seeing the small LV bag in the woman's hand, he still stood up and called his superiors over. The police captain on duty was called Han Yateo. Hearing that someone was cheated of 100 million, his expression became extremely solemn. He came to the woman and asked, "What's your name? And take off your sunglasses and mask." The woman held the sunglasses, looked around, and said, "Forget about the sunglasses. I'm afraid others will recognize me, and my name is Zhou." "Zhou? Which Zhou?" The young policeman next to her was stunned. Zhou is a popular female star in China. The woman quietly pulled down her mask a little and said, "It's me. I'm a star. I'm afraid that reporters will take pictures of me, so don't ask me." Hong Yateo took a quick glance and saw the woman's face clearly. It was really the female star in the air. He sat down and asked, "Tell me, what's going on?" Seeing that there was no commotion, Zhou said, "Isn't this the end of the world?" I saw some people on the internet saying that there is a Noah's Ark plan, preparing to evacuate or something, and then many people bought tickets. As long as they bought tickets, they can get on the ship and leave the earth to survive. Hong Yateo's eyes widened. They have received a lot of similar reports during this period. Now even telecom fraud has changed its rhetoric. I'm an alien hiding on the earth. I have locked you. If you want to survive, hurry up and do this and that. And you believed it? Hong Yateo said. Zhou Rao hurriedly shook her head and said, I didn't believe it at first. I thought they were scammers, but after getting in touch with them, I found that they didn't seem to be scammers. They told me that they were Mr. Zhao from the research institute under Zhou Yang. For this evacuation plan, their institute was also allocated several places, but a colleague suddenly got cancer, so the place was vacated. Their director planned to secretly sell the ticket because his director was corrupt and misappropriated the institute's funds. Now there is a deficit of 100 million. So they came to me and even took me to some aerodynamic research institute to see it. I saw a lot of instruments and a lot of researchers. There were armed police standing guard at the door. It was inside the mountains, and it looked like a mysterious research institute in the movies, so I believed it. The key is that they want 100 million at once. If they just wanted 1 million, I might not believe it. Zhou Rao made a bitter face. This time, if the other party asked for less, she might not believe it. Who would have thought that the other party asked for 100 million at once, and she really believed it? After all, in the 2012 movie, a ticket cost 10 billion euros. Then I transferred the money to them, and they gave me a boat ticket. Here, this is it. They said they would contact me when they evacuated. As he said that, he took out a boat ticket the size of a banknote from his bag, and handed it over. Wow, it's made of pure gold. Hong Yateo took it. It was heavy and golden in color. It was pure gold at first glance. There were 4 words on the front, Ark boat ticket, and on the back was a string of 18-digit code numbers. What happened next? Hong Yateo continued to ask. Zhou Rao said, after I got the boat ticket, I saw a lot of people on the internet saying that there was no evacuation plan at all. I was worried, so I went to the research institute to see it. As a result, I found that there was no one there. I asked the people around me, and they said they never knew there was a research institute there. Then I realized that I was cheated. Hong Yateo shook his head helplessly. However, this time, being cheated of 100 million yuan at once was definitely the largest amount of money cheated in related cases. Moreover, the other party was a veteran at first glance. In order to gain Zhou Rao's trust, he also fabricated a research institute under Zhou Yang, and even set up a research institute in the mountain valley. Come with me, I'll make a detailed record for you. Hong Yateo stood up and said. Zhou Rao nodded, and had no choice but to follow. On the 3rd day after Zhou Rao reported the case, news about the celebrity Zhou Rao being cheated appeared on Douyin, and there was also a video of Zhou Rao's nanny car entering the Nanshan branch. Even some details of the case were dug out by the powerful gossip reporters, such as being cheated of 100 million yuan, and the other party pretending to be Zhou Yang's subordinate. Zhou Rao is a celebrity with many fans, not to mention that the whistleblower intentionally or unintentionally involved Zhou Yang. Zhou Yang is so popular that no one knows how much attention any piece of news will get. Related videos quickly rushed to the top of the hot list, attracting countless people to watch. Oh my god, there are really fools who believe such nonsense. Damn, 100 million. Being a celebrity means you are really rich, but it's so easy to cheat. They are afraid of death because they are rich. I dare say that there will be a lot of similar things this time, but fortunately the scammers have a conscience and never cheat us poor people. But they always talk about evacuation plans and evacuation plans. Do you think there will really be an evacuation plan? Yeah, think about it. We have watched the video of that battle. There were so many Zhuanians, but they could only barely kill one alien warship. If they came with dozens of them, our Earth would definitely not be able to withstand it. And now global resource controls are said to concentrate limited resources to build more weapons, but maybe they are concentrating resources to build Noah's Ark. Didn't someone reveal before that a large area in the Taihang Mountains in the northwest was listed as a military restricted area? Maybe they are building escape spaceships there. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 372. People's hearts are unstable. After Zhou Yang was exposed, there were more and more cases of being deceived by netizens, and not only in China, but also abroad. Country Z still doesn't believe in the end of the world, but there are more people abroad who believe it. During this period, all kinds of messy remarks have come out, and many foreign rich people have been deceived. It can be said that this wave of scammers has ushered in spring. Taihang Mountain area. Zhou Yang took a helicopter and was inspecting the construction of the dock below from high altitude. This site is the remnant of the Taihang Mountain area. The mountains are high and the forests are dense. It is located between the two cities. There are no tourist areas and few people. However, there is a highway next to it, so it is quite convenient to transport materials. In the future, the construction base of the spacecraft will be set up here. At the same time, an experimental dock will be built at the research institute, which is to build while developing, build the original model, and then complete mass production here. A large number of military engineering teams have moved in, and the project progress is extremely fast. Zhou Yang inspected the progress of the project and returned to the research institute to prepare for the construction of the Mars base. The appearance of aliens completely disrupted Zhou Yang's original plan. The city plan on Mars was also abandoned and changed to a laser cannon base. The specific construction plan was to be finalized by Zhou Yang. Zhou Yang also had to keep an eye on the R&D plan and hold meetings with scientific research institutions around the world. He was so busy every day that it was no exaggeration to say that it was a luxury to rest for 4 or 5 hours a day. After the meeting with scientists from AVIC, NASA, and the European Space Agency, they discussed the relay signal satellite. Mars is too far away from the Earth. If electromagnetic waves are used to transmit messages, it is possible that the Mars base has discovered the enemy. By the time the message is transmitted back, it will be more than 10 minutes later, and the aliens will have already landed on Earth. So a signal transmission system must be established. There are now two options. One is to use the main source magnetic gravitational field communication technology obtained by Zhou Yang as a basis, and break through this technology as soon as possible. Even if a semi-finished product is developed without direct cosmic barrier-free communication, the solar system can communicate quickly first and use it first. There is also a communication system on Falkman's spacecraft, but it is not the main source magnetic gravitational field communication technology. However, after careful study, Zhou Yang found that this technology on Falkman's spacecraft may be the pre-technology of the main source magnetic gravitational field communication technology. It also uses the magnetic gravitational field to wrap the message and transmit it with a high-powered transmitter. However, it is not easy to break through this technology in a short period of time. The second way is to use the existing technology to launch multiple communication satellites, which is equivalent to setting up a wireless communication network directly between the Earth and Mars, so that the signal can be transmitted back at the fastest speed. Not to mention no delay, but it is definitely a delay of seconds. After some discussion, it was finally decided to take two steps. First, use the second method for emergency use, and then concentrate on breaking through the main source magnetic gravitational field communication technology. However, such a communication satellite must be specially manufactured, because there is no planetary orbit between the Earth and Mars that can be borrowed. The only way is to launch the satellite directly in space and let the satellite float in a fixed position for a long time like a space station. But in this way, the spacecraft must have lasting power to resist the gravity from the sun and adjust its position at any time. Fortunately, there is controlled nuclear fusion, which is enough to maintain power for a long enough time. The meeting ended at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and lunch was missed. Li Xiao brought lunch, and Zhou Yang's doctor also accompanied him to help Zhou Yang check his body. Mr. Zhao, although you are still healthy now, you still need to pay attention to rest, the doctor said. Zhou Yang waved his hand and said, "Don't worry, I know what I'm doing." Nowadays, there are no medical machines, and many diseases can actually be cured, but diseases like death from overwork, which cannot be considered a disease at all, are difficult to treat, because the only treatment is rest. After sending the doctor away, Zhou Yang had basically finished eating. He waited for Li Xiaoyu to make tea, and then he had half an hour to rest. The emergency committee would have a meeting later. "By the way, is there any news in society now?" Zhou Yang asked casually. With Zhou Yang's current work intensity, it is impossible for Li Xiaoyu, a secretary, to complete all the work. Instead, there is a group of secretaries with 5 people in the group, responsible for different things, one of whom will collect key news from all over the world every day. Zhou Yang would take a look before, but now, he basically has no time to read it. But Zhou Yang is now also a member of the emergency committee, and he knows that world stability is also very important. Li Xiaoyu immediately pulled out a file for Zhou Yang to check. "Is M country so chaotic?" Zhou Yang frowned. Looking at the news, M country has become a mess, and there are riots everywhere. Scene. For the sake of so-called human rights, dare not use severe punishment, which indirectly contributes to this bad atmosphere. Li Xiaoyu smiled bitterly and said, "Sir, it's not just M country, but all countries in the world are in chaos. I feel that people are unstable and a little uneasy. It's nothing at ordinary times, but now at this special moment, it is magnified without limit. Fear is contagious. When you turn on the news and see all kinds of panic news, even if you are rational, you will feel the same panic." Zhou Yang didn't speak and asked, "Are there any other news?" Li Xiaoyu said, "By the way, there have been a lot of fraud cases during this period. They all claim that the government has prepared a plan to evacuate the earth, and then the scammers cheat in the name of selling ARC tickets." "ARC tickets?" Zhou Yang widened his eyes. Has he watched too many science fiction movies? Does anyone really believe it? Anyone with a little bit of intelligence would not believe such nonsense. Li Xiaoyu smiled bitterly and said, "You know what? There are really people who believe it, and there are quite a few. By the way, just 2 days ago, an actress named Zhu Rao in our country was defrauded of 100 million by a liar, and the liar used your name and said it was our subordinate research institute. This is really..." Zhou Yang shook his head speechlessly, but in addition to being surprised, Zhou Yang suddenly felt that, just like Li Xiaoyu said before, ordinary people were too anxious because of the appearance of aliens. Coinciding with social changes, robots were widely used, and many people lost their jobs and became restless. Zhou Yang felt that he had to do one thing now, that is, to stabilize people's hearts, otherwise he would be in chaos before the aliens came. It was about time, and Zhou Yang also entered the virtual space to hold a meeting. The theme of the meeting was to divide their respective defense zones and form a joint space force at the same time. Chapter 373 Zhou Yang's voice. The establishment of the joint space force was passed unanimously without much discussion. With country Z as the main force, the best of the best will be selected from the armies of various countries around the world, including mecha pilots, fighter pilots, and scientific and technological talents to operate warships. From military command to logistical support, the meeting discussed many details and set the general direction. Zhou Yang basically did not participate in such matters, and occasionally said a word, but at the end of the meeting, Zhou Yang suddenly said, "For the establishment of the Joint Space Force, do we need to hold a grand celebration ceremony, such as a military parade or something?" Everyone was stunned and looked at Zhou Yang, not knowing what was going on. "Mr. Zhao, is this necessary?" asked the person in charge of country E. "Yes, we are short of resources now, and we should use precious resources in more important places. I think that meaningless ceremonies like this can actually be cancelled in the future," Scene also said. Zhou Yang glanced at Scene, as if you, country M, are the only ones who like to celebrate and have a carnival when nothing happens. Zhou Yang said, "The military parade boosts the confidence of ordinary people. The appearance of aliens has caused great panic. I saw in the news that many people believe that the end of the world is coming, and some are even deceived. This shows that ordinary people are afraid. Of course, we can ignore it, but I think that boosting the confidence of ordinary people can better concentrate the strength of all people in the world and work together." Let them know how strong we are now. Although aliens are powerful, they are not invincible. I think this is very necessary. As for the limited resources you mentioned, it's just a military parade. How much resources can be wasted? Everyone looked at each other and quickly nodded in agreement. By the way, I also plan to release some content through some channels, such as Weibo, short video and other platforms, such as this evacuation plan. If there is no channel to tell them that it is fake, they may always doubt it, which will cause a worse impact. Although the evacuation plan is true, it is only a backup plan, not a plan to abandon everyone and flee as advertised on the internet. Mr. Zhou has a huge influence on ordinary people, and he developed the mecha himself. It is most appropriate for you to come forward to explain. The person in charge of Country Z said. The other people also nodded in agreement. Speaking of which, they would like Zhou Yang to show his face more often. After the meeting, Zhou Yang thought about it and logged into his Weibo account directly. Zhou Yang's Weibo account is still the undisputed #1 in the world, with an astonishing 4 billion fans. It is no exaggeration to say that almost everyone who is connected to the internet or virtual reality space follows Zhou Yang. However, since Zhou Yang opened his Weibo account, he only logged into Weibo when he promoted industrial robots last time and published an explanation of the promotion of industrial robots. At that time, Zhou Yang also considered creating a channel to communicate with ordinary people, but once he got busy, he had forgotten about it. After thinking for a while, Zhou Yang called up Fuxi. Help me check those cases that were deceived by buying ARC tickets, and then use your methods to help me investigate the information of the fraudsters and compile a list for me. Zhou Yang said. The reason why fraud cases are difficult to crack is mainly because the fraudsters use the internet to hide very deeply, and when the police investigate, he does not have enough authority in many places. For example, to check a fraudulent number, even though the other party is using virtual dial-up software, no matter how virtual it is, you have to use a communication base station, and the background of the virtual dial-up software has a database. As the saying goes, a wild goose leaves traces when it passes by, and all your actions on the internet can be traced. So the only thing is, whether it is worth checking or not, and whether it is necessary to check. Ordinary police do not have this authority, but Fuxi has it, and it is almost easy to investigate. Okay, sir. Fuxi disappeared. Zhou Yang looked at the document for a while, about half an hour, and Fuxi appeared and said, Sir, the list is ready. Zhou Yang did not look at it either, and said, send it to the police in various countries, and carry out the arrest directly. At the same time, send me a Weibo post on Weibo. Post this document, and add a sentence to me. The evacuation plan is fake. Everything is subject to official propaganda. Soon, Zhou Yang updated a Weibo post on Weibo. First, there was an extra long picture with a sentence. Almost instantly, Zhou Yang's Weibo post rushed to the Weibo hot list. Oh my god, did this guy finally remember his password? Funny, he still needs a password. NetEase must have created a special account for him. The evacuation plan is fake. It seems that even Mr. Zhou can't stand the nonsense promoted on the internet. That's right. Anyone with a little bit of brains should know that there is no such evacuation plan. How could the government abandon us and run away on its own? Then what is this picture? It's all a list of names. Opening the picture, you can clearly see that it is a table with names, genders, ID numbers, phone numbers and so on, and not only domestic, but also foreign. The number is more than 200. Just when everyone was confused, Zhou Yang updated his Weibo again. The names in the picture are fraudsters who use the false propaganda of the evacuation plan to commit fraud. The amount of the crime exceeded 10 million. Now relevant departments have been notified, and they are being arrested. Please don't take the opportunity to undermine social stability, otherwise they will be severely punished. As soon as this Weibo came out, the comments were in an uproar again. Damn, they are all scammers. Are there so many of them? And they are not just small fry, they are probably all bosses. Mr. Zhou said that the amount of money committed is more than 10 million. Who investigated this? They found out all of them at once, and there are domestic and foreign scammers. Is there any need to ask? It must be Mr. Zhou who did it. If the power of the country is used, it would be easy to investigate a group of scammers. I didn't expect that Mr. Zhou could pay attention to these trivial matters in his busy schedule. Yes, the alien invasion. This period of time is probably the busiest time for Mr. Zhou. I saw in the news before that our country seems to have set up some kind of emergency committee. Mr. Zhou is a member of this emergency committee. He must be very busy. At this time, someone commented, "Go and watch Douyin." Mr. Zhou remembered his Douyin password again. Zhou Yang's Douyin account also released a new video. In the camera, Zhou Yang was reading a document and then put it down and said to the camera, "Don't worry about it, I'm still here, the government is still here, and the sky hasn't fallen yet." This sentence, as if with magic, calmed many people down. By the way, the virtual space will be upgraded soon, so please stay tuned. At the end of the video, Zhou Yang suddenly said something that made no sense, but it was thought-provoking. The virtual space is now almost like a second world, and it is suddenly going to be upgraded. Many people can't help but be curious about what kind of upgrade it will be. Chapter 374 Virtual World Conference. Zhou Yang's words gave many people a reassurance. Mr. Zhou said so there must be no problem. That's right, if the sky falls, there are tall people to hold it up. Why should we worry about it? Now I'm curious, what does Mr. Zhou mean by the big upgrade of the virtual space? I feel that the virtual space is already perfect now, and there is nothing to upgrade. Then who knows, just wait patiently. Anyway, Mr. Zhou said it will be soon. However, there are still some people who continue to question, even if Zhou Yang said so. It must be fake, fooling us. That's right, they said there is no evacuation plan, but how can we know if there is really one? They are so high up, how can they care about the life and death of ordinary people like us? Fortunately, these people are a minority after all, and Zhou Yang does not intend to take care of everyone's ideas, as long as the mainstream ideas are controlled. The next day, Mr. Zhou, the things are ready. A researcher came to report to Zhou Yang. "Oh, take me to see it." Zhou Yang was not too surprised. To him, this thing is just a small thing. Coming to a laboratory, a thing like a hibernation chamber appeared in front of Zhou Yang. "Have you tried it?" Zhou Yang asked. "This is a small project team, with 20 to 30 people and a few engineers. The person in charge is Han Xiaoping, who used to work with Gao Cheng." He nodded and said, "We have tried it, and there is no problem, but time is tight, and we don't have time to test its maximum duration." Zhou Yang nodded, began to take off his clothes, and said, "Okay, turn it on, I'll try it." This? Han Xiaoping hesitated. "This is a test machine. Although they have tried it, if there is any problem, they will die." Zhou Yang glanced at him and said, "Why, don't you have confidence in what you made?" Han Xiaoping blushed slightly and shook his head hurriedly. "No, I have confidence. You can try it at will." Zhou Yang took off his clothes, leaving only a pair of shorts, and lay on the game cabin. Yes, this thing is a game cabin. After the aliens appeared, Zhou Yang had this idea to completely open up the virtual world so that people can stay in the virtual world for several months or even longer with the help of the dome and cabin, which can greatly reduce social instability. Work and the like are left to industrial robots. Ordinary people in the virtual world can play games or work to create wealth. It's up to you, as long as you don't come out and make trouble. The whole thing is not technically difficult. The only problem is how to maintain life. This is not difficult either. After all, even nanomedical machines have been manufactured. Using repair fluid, the damage caused by lying down for a long time can be adjusted at any time. So even if you lie down for a few months, it's not a big problem. It's good to lie down flat. Zhou Yang nodded to Han Xiaoping and then closed his eyes. "Start." Han Xiaoping nodded to his deputy. The cover was closed, the dome chamber was started, and the repair fluid mixed with nutrient solution was injected after modification, slowly submerging Zhou Yang's body from below. The nutrient solution is the same temperature as the human body, so there will be no cold feeling. At this moment, the brainwave was connected. Zhou Yang's eyes went black, and he entered the virtual space, and his body was just submerged in the nutrient solution. This design is to prevent the user from being unable to bear the feeling of being submerged in the nutrient solution. After entering the virtual space, the human body naturally enters a sleeping state, and the nutrient solution is also filled with oxygen to ensure normal breathing. In the virtual space, Zhou Yang moved around for a while, and did not feel any discomfort. At this time, Han Xiaoping's voice also sounded beside Zhou Yang's ear, asking, "Mr. Zhou, are you okay?" "No, how is my physical condition?" Zhou Yang asked. "Everything is normal." Zhou Yang nodded with satisfaction and said, "I'm exiting." Choosing to exit the virtual space, the nutrient solution in the game cabin was also quickly recycled. Zhou Yang opened his eyes, and except for feeling a little wet, there was no other discomfort. Standing up, Zhou Yang said, "Not bad. Check it one last time. If there is no problem, finalize it as soon as possible." Han Xiaoping excitedly waved his fist, and the entire project team also cheered. 5 days after Zhou Yang released a video announcing that he would upgrade the virtual space, the Confederation government issued a notice that on July 15th, Zhou Yang would appear in the virtual world and release important upgrades to the virtual world. As soon as the news came out, the world was shocked. The virtual world has been running for such a long time, just like the mobile phones and the internet before. It has long become an inseparable part of the world. And for such a long time, the virtual space has not undergone any upgrades. Now it is suddenly going to be upgraded, and it is the upgrade announced by Zhou Yang himself. Obviously, it is not a small upgrade, and the attention is naturally amazing. Not only because of entertainment, many people nowadays make a living in the virtual world, and there are also major companies that have their own industries in the virtual space. Any upgrade may have a profound impact on the virtual space. The time came to the 15th, and the time of the press conference was 10 o'clock in the morning. 2 hours in advance, everyone received a system prompt from the virtual space. At 10 o'clock, almost everyone entered the virtual press conference site through the link at the same time. The huge scene was crowded with people watching. Data showed that more than 4 billion people around the world were connected to the press conference site. Fortunately, it was a virtual world, otherwise there would be no place to accommodate so many people. Many people opened a special small room to chat and talk in it. Ordinary people were together, and business leaders from all walks of life also entered the same room. Mr. Ma Huateng and several other friends were also in the same luxurious private room. In the private room, Dama Zhao, as well as internet giants such as Ding Sanshi, gathered together. With the rise of virtual space, these internet giants have reaped the most dividends. After some polite exchanges, everyone sat down one after another. There was food and drink in the private room. Several people sat down separately. Ma Yun said, "I don't know what kind of upgrade will be carried out this time. Who knows, but Mr. Zhou showed up in person. It must not be a small upgrade." Ding Sanshi said. As everyone was talking, they couldn't help but look at Li Yanhong and asked, "Old Li, you are close to Mr. Zhou. Do you have any inside information?" Li Yanhong looked at everyone with a smile and said, "What are you talking about? When did I get close to Mr. Zhou? To be honest, I haven't seen Mr. Zhou for a long time. With Zhou Yang's current status, it is not something that ordinary people can meet just by saying so." As everyone was talking, the time came to 10 o'clock. The stage in front of them flashed with light, and it became brightly lit. Zhou Yang also appeared out of thin air in the center of the stage. Chapter 375 Virtual Warehouse. Seeing Zhou Yang, the atmosphere immediately became lively. Mr. Zhou looks a little haggard, and he even has a beard. Li Yanhong sighed. On the stage, Zhou Yang was wearing an ordinary white coat, without even a tie, and had a short beard on his lips. He probably hadn't had time to shave for several days. Zhou Yang never cared about his image. Just now, he was still in a meeting to discuss the arrangement of satellites between the Earth and Mars. After the meeting, he had no time to tidy up and came directly to the press conference. Ma Huateng and others sighed. You can imagine how much Mr. Zhou has to do during this period of time. Ma Yun said. On the stage, Zhou Yang spoke, and his voice spread to everyone's ears, saying, "I have limited time, so I won't talk nonsense, just say it directly." This time it was not a courtesy, but a real time crunch. Zhou Yang now wishes he could split a day into 2 days. After returning from the moon, he has never returned home, and he doesn't even have time to video chat with his family. Chen Royan was also considerate and didn't disturb Zhou Yang, fully supporting Zhou Yang's work. Zhou Yang waved his hand, and a virtual warehouse appeared beside him. This is a virtual warehouse. I won't explain the specific principles in detail. You may not understand it anyway, Zhou Yang said. Many people smiled knowingly when he said this. Zhou Yang's personality is like this, simple and direct, never pretentious, but more real. However, more attention was paid to the virtual warehouse. It's a virtual warehouse. What's the difference between this thing and a virtual helmet? Aren't they both entering a virtual space? Then it must be different. It's more comfortable to lie down. That's right. You still lie on the bed when you use a virtual helmet. Everyone talked about it, and they really didn't know what the difference was between this virtual warehouse and a virtual helmet. Zhou Yang said, the main function of the virtual warehouse is to allow you to enter the virtual warehouse for a long time. It is related to the nutrient solution you add. The virtual warehouse turned, and a hidden door opened at the bottom. Two container interfaces could be seen inside. Here are two containers of nutrient solution. One container of nutrient solution can allow you to stay in the virtual world for 3 months. Two containers means 6 months and half a year. That is to say, with the help of this virtual warehouse, you can stay in the virtual world for up to 6 months without worrying about any problems with your body. After Zhou Yang finished speaking, there was an uproar at the scene. Although the virtual space is good, there is an anti-addiction system for playing games. Although the government has deliberately relaxed the time for virtual games after the appearance of aliens, there are only 12 hours a day. And wearing a helmet, even if you lie in bed, you will get hungry after a long time, you will have to go to the toilet when you have to pee, and you will have diarrhea. But Zhou Yang said that you can stay in the virtual warehouse for up to half a year, which really surprised everyone. Half a year in a flash, this is too exaggerated. What about pooping and peeing? What about eating? Ding Sanchi exclaimed. Li Yanhang said, from a technical point of view, it should be possible. When entering the virtual space, the human body is in a dormant state, and the metabolic rate will be extremely low. At the same time, with the help of nutrient solution, it should be able to meet the needs of the body. However, peeing are a bit troublesome. If you pee in the nutrient solution, or have diarrhea, wouldn't it mix with the nutrient solution, and be absorbed by the body in the end? These are all technical issues. Mr. Zhou should have considered them a long time ago. The key is the significance of this thing and the purpose of launching it at this time. Ma Yun frowned. Ma Huateng nodded and said, entering the virtual space for a long time means that the virtual world is really regarded as the second world. As for launching it at this time, it may be because aliens have appeared and society is a little chaotic, so they just let everyone enter the virtual world to maintain social stability. Everyone was talking about it, and Zhou Yang on the stage seemed to guess what everyone was worried about and said, I think many people will worry about the problem of pooping and peeing. First of all, when using the virtual warehouse, the human body's metabolism will be very small, so as long as you empty it completely before using it again, you can maintain the need for excretion for a long time. Of course, if you really need to poop, the system will also issue a warning and you can just log off in advance. Letting people enter the virtual warehouse for 6 months does not really mean that they have to stay offline all the time. If anything happens, they can log off at any time. As for whether long-term dormancy will cause discomfort to the body, such as muscle atrophy, the virtual warehouse was considered at the beginning of its design. First of all, the nutrient solution contains the repair fluid of the nanomedical machine, which can repair any damage to the body. At the same time, there is a massage design inside, just like a massage bathtub, to relax and massage the body muscles to ensure that there will be no physical problems. Everyone present nodded. If there is no problem with safety, who would not want to stay in the virtual space for a long time and enjoy the wonderful experience brought by the virtual world? Zhou Yang continued, the virtual warehouse has been delivered to countries around the world for production. The first batch of virtual warehouses will be on the market as early as the 1st of next month, and the relevant pre-sale channels will be opened later. As for the price of the virtual warehouse, it is very cheap, 30,000 yuan. At the same time, each person who buys a virtual warehouse can use a virtual helmet to offset the price of 5,000 yuan. As for the nutrient solution, a standard unit is priced at 5,000 yuan. Don't complain about it. This is the cost price. Everyone present laughed out loud. Mr. Zhou is really straightforward. He even added a sentence at the end. Are you afraid that we think it's too expensive? But to be honest, 30,000 yuan for a virtual warehouse is not expensive. Not to mention that after the virtual helmet is discounted, it's only 25,000 yuan. Yes, and this nutrient solution, a standard unit can be used for 3 months, and during these 3 months, you don't need to eat or drink. Just this point can save a lot of money. The eyes of various companies also lit up. The price is not expensive, which means that there is a possibility of large-scale promotion. So many people flock to the virtual world and stay for several months. That is a good thing for companies. Mahua Teng's eyes sparkled, and the idea of a lottery reward virtual warehouse activity had already popped up in his mind. In the virtual world, games are always the big head. Nowadays, humans spend more time in the game world. As the world's largest game company, you can imagine how much benefit it will enjoy. At this time, Zhou Yang in the center of the stage waved his hand, and the virtual warehouse around him disappeared. He then said, the virtual warehouse is a hardware upgrade. At the same time, in the convenience of the virtual space itself, some small-scale upgrades will be carried out. For example, the restrictions on game addiction will be fully lifted. At the same time, in order to better simulate the real world, the favorability function will be opened after this upgrade. Simply put, in the virtual world, as long as enough favorability is met, you can do that kind of thing. As soon as these words came out, the scene was completely on fire. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.